Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going?
Hello.
Welcome to the Sunday semi-regular, very regular, irregular Sunday comics chat, whatever the hell I called this thing. Nice to see you all. Rasa is with us yet again. Just can't get rid of us. We're here
No.
most Sundays, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. I'm showing something.
Uh-oh. Did your screen go black on purpose?
Ah,
That's amazing. Did you make that?
no.
What the heck is it? I love it.
So this is the homework we had to do for my son.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love it.
That's my
I
husband's
love
work.
it.
My
Whose
hubby
work?
can.
Sorry.
My husband did it.
It's so great.
So you can see his ears are nice and rounded. Blah blah blah. Like.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh man, that's so freaking cool.
yeah, it's not bad,
Nice
eh?
work, husband. Good work, husband. Whoops.
Oh.
What did I
Oh.
do there? Sorry, I
Ooh.
clicked the wrong button. There we go.
Yeah.
Very
So there you
nice.
go.
Very nice.
So this is the homework I was
How's he
told to
doing?
me.
How's your husband doing in elementary school? Is he okay? Is he going to graduate?
Yeah, almost. He's past his A level soon. This is gonna be
Okay, good.
awful.
Yeah, perfect.
So because my we were supposed to be all together, do it. My son
Yeah.
is a bit tension deprived sometimes, and he only wants to do whatever he feels like doing. So he
Mhm.
kind of like not scary enough. So my husband worked his ass off to make it scary enough for him.
Uh-huh.
And now he could not stop wearing it. So because he was telling to my hubby, he's like, I hate this, like blah blah blah. Because that's how he does it. That's how he wants to get away from doing activities in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
That is just a perfect example of how my son has to deal with all the kind of homeworks, which is kind of scary in itself, because the later in life is going to get harder. So I'm not sure how we're going to
Yeah.
survive this, but we're trying our best. So this is direction by my son, and my husband just was doing whatever. And he's from South Africa, for God's sake. So he kind of
Mhm.
he knows the look. He said it's nothing like whatever he may ask us to do, but we did it. It's nothing
Yeah.
about that, like effort is being made. So, and my son is absolutely now loves it. When I took it away from him, this mask, he was saying, where are you going to that? It's like, not your damn business.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was funny, but yeah, I wanted to show it to you. I know you appreciate your masks, so what
I
you
sure as hell do appreciate masks. That's a good
yeah.
one.
So my hubby said, I said to him, like, Terrence probably definitely gonna have a kick out of it, so I have to show him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I decided to do some showmanship.
Yeah, some show and tells. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What else is going on this week? So wait a sec. So you're out of 1923. Hey, you packed it in on 1923?
I'm not sure. I will come back. I really do want to, but my mood
Yeah.
is not really I'm not in the right mood. I get affected emotionally quite a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of anger comes out of it while I watch.
Yeah.
And I also picked the wrong time. It seems to be I always wanted to watch it like when it's like nighttime, because it's kind of good setting. However, it doesn't help me to do that before sleep, because I get
Yeah,
really
for sure.
rattled up, because the
Yep.
subjects 1923 is hitting really badly for me. Maybe it's because of everything else surrounding in the real world. It's
Mhm.
kind of compacting itself, and that doesn't help. Because at the end of the day, TV shows or anything entertainment supposed to be getting away from that environment rather than you being sucked in that.
Interesting. Yeah.
But it's just the way I feel at the moment. I really do want to. I actually fought, but I never had enough courage. Like, no, I'm not watching this. I was like,
So I mean, without telling you anything that goes on,
yeah,
like I was saying to my wife, like
yeah,
it's rare. We were both, myself included,
yeah.
yelling at the TV at one point, yelling at it.
Oh
And
boy,
I was saying to her, at the end, we both looked at each other, it's like, Jesus. And I
it's just
said,
brilliant.
I've seen some dark movies in my life. I've seen some dark TV shows.
Yeah.
There's something about this one, while it's not like oppressively dark, like visually or anything,
Yes.
it's almost like a made for TV kind of mini series or something. Like it has that kind of look to it. It
Mm-hmm.
is such a bleak and dark show. And this episode, I mean, every episode has its intensity.
Uh-huh.
This one was, oh my God. And it's not that it's like it's not that it's graphic. It's not that it's like, I don't know. It's this unsettling. It's done so fucking well. I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's a phenomenal show. As much as I liked 1888 as well, I like this one, I think, a little better. But 1888 was still a fantastic show as well, too. But there's something about this one, like there's this layer that just is kind of continually there that is so fucking good. And it's not a, like you said, we didn't watch it before going to bed or anything. Like, it is definitely one of those shows where it works you up. And actually, we had the last 2 episodes of that British show to watch. So we watched that afterwards. So we watched this 1923. Then we watched the comedy stuff to kind of like balance it out, right?
Yeah, big.
So I mean, I'm loving it, but yeah, it's not a fucking happy-go-lucky story, you know, that's for damn sure.
Yeah,
but it's really good, I think.
Oh yeah, I bet. I think it's all Ford and Mirren. They just classic. They just pull out some things you like. Okay, acting is great, but TV show acting does that somehow surpass. And they make other people look really good as well, which is amazing, to be honest, for the cast. Also, this guy,
honestly, like that British actress who plays Alexandria, whatever her name is. She's really good. She's a damn good actress in her own right, and it kind of like. I'm sorry.
Is she British? Are you sure she's British?
I'm not sure. I know. I'm just saying she's British in the show. I don't know if she is in real life, you know, but in the show she is. I have no. I've never seen her before anywhere else, but I probably wouldn't recognize people even if you told me that they were from something else.
I don't.
But yeah, I mean, she's a goddamn good actress, and I think that's, like you said, like Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford are great as well. But I think it's stocked with such rich characters. Every single character feels fleshed out. It doesn't feel like there's many characters that are just sort of at the sidelines, even those stories that aren't kind of the main part of the story, because it's so many other characters. Each one of those feels fully kind of fleshed out. It's pretty impressive writing and acting for sure. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how this writer, or who is his screenplay writer, first of all. So Sheridan is the main guy who made Yellowstone. That's how you have all those offshoots, and he's still the same guy who's writing all of the shows, 1883 and then 1923. Yeah, so he's damn. I don't know if he's that good of a writer, because I've never clue. I've never heard of him beforehand. You know, like, because I'm not in America, I guess that's what
he seems to be a newer kind of. He seems to be a newer guy that's kind of taking the TV world by storm, because there's a bunch of shows that he's done that my wife has watched. Again, I haven't watched any of them, so I don't know the names, but there's a number of them that he's had his hands in. He seems to be kind of like, you know, the Tom King of the TV world, or the, you know, I don't know how to relate it anyway else, but he seems to be a name of, you know,
I'm not really I'm the hater of Tom King, so please don't put him in such a limelight, you know, like, no, what I'm trying to say, Sheridan is I think he's having a couple of, like, I've heard rumors that something is going on with him and all that shit. Oh, Julia Schlaff,
American, there you go.
Yeah,
she does a good accent. Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. I've been fooled by that kind of thing before. Idris Elba being the biggest one in The Wire. When I first heard him talk in like an interview, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because his American accent was just so goddamn good.
Yeah, and he had
I had no idea. Couldn't even hint at it.
He had the slang as well going really well. So, which is great to see if an American actress can do an English accent that well. I'm not in English, so I can't pick up on, because if you're an English person, you actually have to ask, because they pick up on accents quick. I've been living in here for 20 odd years. You would presume I have that strong English thing going on, but I have my, you know, like intonations, as they call them, and they pick up straight away. They ask you, like, where you from, because they just suss it out. Like my son now, my mom was still like talking to him, and he speaks English. Unfortunately, he doesn't speak Lithuanian. So he speaks to my mom in English, and my mom's like, whoa, that's a strong English accent he's picking on to. Well, because it's living in here at the end of the day. And I'm trying to, it's funny, if I want to make my son confused, I just start to speak Lithuanian. He's like, excuse me, lady. And he understands some certain sentences because I kept with that. So if he gets in trouble, he knows my Lithuanian is coming out. So he knows he's in proper trouble.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so when that language comes out, so he thinks it's a bad kind of thing. Like, not really, but you know
Mhm,
what I mean. So like, my Lithuanian comes out when I'm angry most of the time, because it's just
mhm.
much easier for me to be like that. Oh, what? No,
I mean,
Sean.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, Sean. I totally hear you. It's impossible to see everything, but I mean,
Yes. The
I'm one
Wire.
of those people who I
I
think that The
watched like
Wire is probably
five
some of the best
times.
TV ever.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal story. Each
Yeah.
season is fantastic
It
because
gets
of how
better.
it digs into the topic, right? Like it doesn't
Mm.
just leave it at surface level. It looks at here's what
All
the
of it.
problems are. Let's
Yeah.
dig into where these problems come from,
Yeah.
how they're actually kind of maintained, the problems with the system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the way down to like education. I think one of the last seasons focuses on schools, and it's
Yes.
one of the best seasons easily. I think it's the second last season
Yeah.
because the last season focuses on newspaper and the media.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really well done thing.
Well, thank you, Sean. You so
Sunday Comics Chat is better than anything on TV. Well, you're goddamn right about that, Sean.
so yeah, Sean. If you have any time whatsoever given to yourself, just watch a couple of the first episodes of The Wire. Just test out if it's for you. If you are at all a detective slash kind of drug, kind of like that kind of goings on, especially I'm talking about the first season. That's where they completely concentrate of the
Yeah.
streets and how they deal with drugs and all that situation. If that's anything appeals to you in that sense, watch it, because it's a really surprising how much it gets involved and how many levels they managed to reach in that TV show. Honestly, it's a gold from everyone who even attempted to watch a little bit. It's really good.
Well, and I think one of the other things it has going for it is that with each season, when they focus on different topics, he
Yeah.
was so smart, or they were all so smart. They had writers come in. So, for example, the season that's focusing on the education system,
Mm.
they had people coming in who worked in the education system to write episodes. So that's what they did really well with each season, is that they had people who were involved in that little segment that they were focusing on writing, so it was coming from like a first-hand perspective. But yeah, Idris Elba is on it. Pretty sure my mom will want to binge it for reasons. Yeah, right.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he's so good, but there's just so many good characters in it, so many
Oh,
solid actors, and yeah.
yeah, they complement each other and they just blossom. Some of the cast just like kind of grow into it, the role even more. And yeah, it's funny how the Idris Elba such situation, when I was watching at the beginning, so wasn't in this country, I wasn't aware of Idris. I mean, I was aware of Idris, but I wasn't aware that he's English either. And then you come
Mhm,
to like, excuse me, what did you say? Right, he's English, and
mhm,
you're like,
mhm.
proper accents going on in American accents. But yeah, I'm really pleased about that. I'm sorry, I can't. She's American doing English accents, so it's fantastic to know that that's what it is. So do you have any more opinions about Daredevil? Did you watch the latest episode?
You want to say first? Did you watch the last two episodes? Because I think it's up to 6 episodes now.
Yeah.
'Cause
So I
and
watched.
you watched both of them?
Yeah. So I'm up to
Okay.
date. And I don't know. Uh, oh yeah, Luther was extremely popular as a series in this
That
country,
was popular, yeah.
which I've never watched, by the way. So here you
No,
go.
I've only watched a couple episodes yet.
I watched a couple of episodes. I can't say I never watched, but I watched a couple of episodes.
Mhm.
So that new villain, okay,
Muse.
yeah, interesting how he looks. To be honest, it looks it's confusing to me. I also, when you told me that they like kind of like inspiration where they come from and who's the writer of that recent Daredevil series were, it doesn't feel like Daredevil of what I kind of want coming in. I really like the fight scenes, by the way. That fight scene in the tunnels, there
In the last episode?
yes,
Yeah, that was
that
good. Yeah.
kicked butt. That
Yeah, I
proper
agree.
went for like Daredevil moves. Everything looks smooth. The Muse was fighting, so he's a little bit. I don't know what his background. So I've never read that recent series of Daredevil because like I don't really read recent Marvels
Mhm.
series. And but he's like proper, like he punched him like with everything and seems to be just standing up again. So he's a bit, I guess that's what usually is like when you stand up after being beaten in the head to the pulp. and you just stand up again, that means
Mhm.
you're like, is he like a vampire type of character?
Honestly, I'm not sure because in the comic that I'm reading where he's in there,
Yeah.
he's this spirit entity and he seems to have some sort of powers because he's giving the woman who's kind of his protege these kind of
Mhm.
superpowers. So, but I mean, he's some sort of ethereal being
Yeah.
that Daredevil and people can see.
Yeah.
So he's not like a ghost, but again, he comes from some Daredevil stuff that I just haven't read, like where he, because you were looking it up
Yeah.
last time, I think,
Yeah.
where he originated. I just haven't read that stuff, so I don't. He's brand new to me as well, like just brand spanking new.
Yeah. The only,
But honestly,
honestly,
Sean, you ain't missing much.
but Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, it is what worth watching this.
Him and his wife are the saving grace of the show,
Yes.
100%.
Daredevil part they missed completely. Why they call it Born Again is such a useful, like you use the title so you have the material. Why the hell not go for it? Because it's already been applauded as a really good series, been written by many fans are raving about it. So if you want to just put some spin on the series, you can. But damn, it doesn't feel like Daredevil has. He's crybaby. He's whiny. He's becoming to a point where, I mean, I'm not sure, maybe because I am atheist or whatever, I'm not a religious person, but he's that part of the religion when he starts, like saying the Bible verses. My brain just, I went like, I don't see it, because you're wearing a daredevil mask. I see you as a daredevil, and that kind of two things together is kind of like doesn't match for me. Maybe it's just the way I have a feeling.
Interesting, hey, because I mean that's pretty core to like Daredevil's character, even in the comics. Like
Yes, I know, but
he's almost like a Scorsese. It's like Scorsese superhero set in New York kind of thing,
yeah,
because he does have that struggle with religion. It doesn't play a huge part in all of the Daredevil stuff, but
no, it never
especially in like
did.
the Frank Miller stuff, like that's a fair bit of it. Like that's a good kind of chunk of it. I do hear what you're saying though.
But huh? I swear, not having John Cena in his "you can't see me" shtick.
Yeah, who did he play? I don't remember John Cena in because John Cena was that wrestler, right? Who
Yeah,
then did some like DC things.
yeah.
Was he in Daredevil? Did he play a character in Daredevil? And I'm just completely blanking on it. Was that in
No,
maybe one of the later seasons?
maybe I don't know. But John Cena's what is he called? Peacemaker. There you go.
Peace.
That's the team.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's doing DC's Peacemaker. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, you have to explain a little bit because I'm not sure where you that you can't
Yeah,
see
I
me
think we're
shtick
missing
thing.
something there, Sean.
Yeah, because I know John Cena. I watched that time and he actually blossomed into becoming a wrestler. That's the time of when I was watching wrestling in my country. So I knew
Mm-hmm.
John Cena's beginnings, and you can't see me. That's his favorite moves and blah blah blah.
Oh, is that true? Oh, okay. See, okay. So right away, you've lost me. I get you now. So that was his wrestling thing. Okay,
This
I
is
had no.
his thing, like you can't see
Ah,
me, and he goes, and then
okay.
he comes bashed down. And they
All
actually
right.
using all those wrestling moves lately in quite few TV shows now.
I see. Okay, his
Uh,
wrestling gimmick. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's why it went way over my head.
Yeah.
I never knew that. Now that makes sense to me.
Mm.
I get it.
There you go. So I managed to convince. But anyway, I'm still watching. I'm still enjoying. My husband says it's still lovely to watch. But there is this Muse stuff. I really enjoyed how he is taunting the Muse itself,
Yeah.
taunting Kingpin, because he's using those absolutely crazy mirrors which he paints with blood of people he has killed, and he's using resin to cover it all over so they can't clean it. As like the streets, and like Kingpin is trying to clean the streets because he's a supposedly goody two shoes guy, the mayor, the new way, the new opening for it looks like Daredevil Born Again is like Kingpin Born Again, because he is the one who's almost went dead. He's the
Yeah.
one who's reborn now. He's the one who's doing everything for the city of New York. It's more him, not Daredevil. Is just a title, and he's just next to it because he's in Hell's Kitchen. So that's how it feels at the moment. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so
Lefty Blues, another month gone. Got a French copy of Arzak in the mail yesterday. Incredible.
Ooh.
Was a side offer for Metal Hurlant Kickstarter. That's amazing. there's a channel on YouTube that looks at all of the Mobius kind of French editions and things. I'm blanking on what it's called. It's probably Mobius something or other YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, really helpful. I know. That's incredibly insightful there, T. Fuller. But that sounds amazing. A French edition of Arzak. Is it a little kind of a bigger in size? Because I know some of the stuff this guy shows on his channel from the French stuff specifically, it's not kind of our standard. They do reproduce it in a bit of a bigger size. And what I have seen him show on that channel is freaking gorgeous. And of course, a ton of it that we've never, well, not a ton that we haven't seen, but some things they're releasing that we haven't seen here.
Okay. So what's your feel about Daredevil then, Joe? You're not into.
So we watched episode 5, and that was the other time that I yelled at the TV, and Alicia had to turn to me at one point and go, Terrence, okay, I get it. I fucking hated it with a passion, that episode.
I don't remember what
happened. I hated it. It was slow.
Oh.
It was boring. The actors were shit.
Yeah.
It was just like, it's like, have you never seen a heist movie before? So my problem with a lot of this stuff is when it comes to writing and kind of, we've all seen heist movies where a bank heist happens. We've all seen them. It's kind of like part of our culture. Anybody who's watched any sort of TV or movies, you know the basics of heist movies. It's like these people have never seen a heist movie and then played it really slow just to try to get some drama out of it. Like we turned it off, and that's when we watched 1923, and then I loved it. And that's when we watched, after that, then we watched the UK series, and I felt much better by the end of all that. But it was like the transition from Daredevil to 1923, that gap was the fucking Grand Canyon. Like, here's how you don't do something, and here's how you actually write something that's intriguing and engaging. So I was not planning to go back. And then I was here puttering around the house the other day, and I turned it on because sometimes I put stuff on the TV while I'm doing stuff around the house. So I did that, and I kind of kept coming back to watch the episode. And episode 6 was I would say, in my opinion, was the best episode of all of them. But that's not saying much because I really didn't like many of the other episodes. So that bar is like still way down here. Where's my hand? Right about there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yes, it was better. But the thing is, there's not enough. Like, they're now trying to do this payoff on like, hey, now look, they finally had enough. It's like, yeah, but they haven't really experienced anything to get them to the point where that payoff means anything. Yeah. So you haven't set up a bunch of the story where they've really been in the shit. Like, where did Matt Murdock get his fucking nose broken or his leg broken or beaten and left for dead, or Kingpin, like, there's not enough stakes in how they got beaten down for that payoff to be that gratifying. Now, it was gratifying because it was the first moment of actual good shit. So it was gratifying in that regard. And honestly, if it wasn't for Kingpin and Vanessa, I would have tapped out a long time ago, to be totally blunt, because they are the most engaging characters. I think that they're both really great actors. But again, it's hard in this environment where everything else is just not that good. Yeah. Is that what makes their characters seem that much better? I don't think so personally, but possibly, because I think that they really kind of knock it out of the park. But again, I just wish they would go more into it. Like, get better writers. Why we waited 6 episodes to see kind of a good fight scene? Like, do you not understand the basics of why people enjoy stuff? It's so bizarre to me that who do you have at the helm of this shit? So anyway, that's my rant. I probably will finish it because I feel like there's probably only 2 episodes left, I think, maybe even. But man, I'm just not enjoying it. Like, I'm just not liking it. I don't think it's a very good show. And that's,
I have a point to make about the Devil and Disney in generally. I think the formula is not working. They're continuously doing the same formula. They continuously doing this over dragging. Okay, so first thing they do, they kill Foggy. Yeah. But what they do as a writer is they cut the whole year of his turmoil and show us happy dandy Daredevil going to this over posh fucking office to work his way and pretend that nothing happened. But that's not what he's supposed to be a family member. They went through so much shit together. This is supposed to be more. And they have this notion that Karen Page and him sitting down in the court will be good enough for us to tell you how Daredevil is feeling right now. Because guess what? Daredevil doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And the person who also knows exactly how does it feel to lose somebody as important as Foggy, for all three of them, yeah? They were like three musketeers going out to the world and doing something different about it. One's down, one is completely in hiding and doesn't want to talk about it like a sissy, and another one saying, let's talk about it. Karen Page, I'm talking about. Let's talk about it. Let's get out of it. And they managed to cut it that completely off and ignore it. So it's not Daredevil born again. It's a Kingpin born again with a Daredevil plastered all over it as a hologram. This is what Disney is basically trying to tell us. And that's the whole problem about Disney shows in general, I think. And that's why we keep on missing the point. And that's why we get discouraged by watching the superhero shows, because the writing is shit. Your editing is absolutely crap sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's dragged. Why are you dragging so much just to give us 5 seconds of the fight scenes, which we get really excited about? And you like have hopes up. Next episode is going to start from the like fight scene. No, let's have the conversation in the diner, because it's much more important section of dialogue we need to disclose to our viewers. That's my opinion.
But I would say that diner conversation was fucking good, though.
No, I'm not saying that's one of the gemstones. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I think that the other thing is I also just get frustrated at myself to some degree, because growing up, like, again, it's no surprise to anybody, I think, watching that's watched us before, that I'm not exactly a guy that's all in on mainstream culture. I've always kind of bypassed mainstream, because in general, throughout my whole life, very, very general terms, mainstream hasn't really given me anything that I'm super interested in. To me, the mainstream it gives you something. It's just a kind of, it's pablum to some degree, right? So I've always kind of dug deeper. So I know that about myself, and I know that about my interaction with mainstream stuff. So that's why, for the most part, with the superhero stuff, I've managed to enjoy most of it quite a bit, actually, because I've been able to detach myself to some degree. Also, I think, like I've said in the past, I've had the kids around watching it, and that's been fun. But I would also say that those early stuff, it was actually good for the Marvel Universe. I know that a lot of people didn't like it. I enjoyed it. So I'm also at myself. It's like, when in my life have I ever really embraced anything Disney? The answer is fucking never, because Disney's always been shit in my mind. You know, it's supposed to be kid stuff, and the kid stuff is great.
Yes.
Some of it. But I think in Disney in general, the Disneyfication of things has never been something that I've enjoyed. So why would I enjoy this, that Disney's taken over Daredevil? Why would I be surprised that the writing wouldn't be very good? Why would I be surprised that all of these things were not in place? Like, that's par for the course. So in a way, I almost get pissed off at myself for thinking that there would be anything else. I just want to pause for 1 sec. Glad we heard mention of Mobius. In 2025, we need as many things of beauty as we can. Howler Mouse, I did want to say hello to Howler Mouse. Howler Mouse's live stream today, he was talking about Daredevil a bit as well. I think he was saying that he only made it through about 20 minutes of first episode or something like that. I was telling him that I'm a bit of a masochist. I've watched them all for some strange reason. I feel like I want to give it a chance. My buy-in on TV is so small, so I feel like it doesn't take too much away from me when I give something a shot. But you definitely aren't missing anything. Shout out to Dan Elson, in the middle of my traditional Sunday binge reading, but wanted to pop in and say what's up. What up? Hello to 62 Lefty Blue, saying hello to Howler Mouse. After that rant, I'm guessing I shouldn't feel too bad over not having Disney Plus anymore. If we didn't have an 11-year-old in the house, I don't think we would have it either. The only other reason I'm waiting, and I know that there's opinions about this, and I'm waiting for the Star Wars thing. What the fuck is it called now?
You forgot.
Comes up in April. What the hell is it called? I can't remember what it's called now. live stream brain fart. I don't watch any of it. I don't like to wipe my Marvel with my Disney. Yeah, right.
It's a good choice, man.
And then Larasa, great rant as well. And then saying what up. Seriously, what the fuck is it called now? Andor, thank you very much. Jesus, I can't believe. But yeah, if we didn't have an 11-year-old, we wouldn't have Disney either. There's really nothing there. No. And honestly, these days, my daughter isn't even watching Disney. So
Maybe it's time to
I think
rethink
it's maybe
something.
time to get rid of it, because I can download anything that we actually want to see, right? So,
I
but
only do.
honestly, like the last bunch of Marvel stuff, it just hasn't been something I'm into anymore. So,
Hey, Dirt
Dirt
Nap.
Nap Collectibles, hello, great weekend. Yes, very much so. Nice to
Happy
see you.
Mother's
Thank you.
Day from UK. We're
Yes,
celebrating
happy
Mother's
Mother's
Day.
Day to all the UK,
Yeah,
all
celebration.
the swarms of UK women that are here watching our streams on a weekly
Yeah,
basis.
probably not many, but you never know. Might be
I
surprised.
mean, you never know. There's
Yes,
always people lurking that don't chat.
yes. So yeah, Disney Plus stuff is. I'm come from. I'm a Daredevil fan. I'll always want to see and give it a chance because sometimes they do surprise. Netflix series Disney Daredevil was perfect, to be honest.
Mhm.
Because we haven't seen it beforehand. I mean, we've seen quite a couple of movies with Ben Affleck. We're not talking about those. But what I'm trying to say, but from Netflix, that was really good, and it was upping quite big bar. Now, I was excited because I was also a fan of the first decade of Marvel movies, which
Mhm.
were perfect. I mean, entertainment, what it was.
I agree.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then I was giving a chance, but now it seems to be Kevin Feige's name is stinking quite rapidly. It's becoming kind of because if he's not doing something about this stuff, I think people no wonder people switching itself like off because the formula they're working on TV shows abysmal. Too
Mhm.
much talking, no action. People are feel like wasting their time because there's so much going on there, like we say. So I always just from the fan point of view, I want to give a chance, especially if I like the character, like Daredevil, which I also do and I collect. So in that sense, but it's a pity that I get disappointed by it, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
Cool. I love
Only thing I
basketball.
watch on TV anymore are the news, Jeopardy, and basketball. Yeah.
I love basketball. So yeah,
Anyway,
anyway, we change
should we get
subject.
into comics and shit that we've actually read and enjoyed?
We still are. I should recommend you to watch that UK based comedy show
Mm,
if you guys like UK comedians. So Last Laughing Standing, isn't I always mess up.
Something like that.
Laugh,
Let's pull it up here.
yeah, because it's kind of weird. It's been formula done from previous somewhere else. I think Australians done it.
Last one laughing UK.
Yeah, that's one Laughing UK. So this is
Called.
extremely funny if you are at all aware of UK comedians. And it's hilarious. It's just gets you away from all the shit around the world really quickly and just makes you giggle because the subjects they pull is really cool. There you go.
So there you can see the cast of characters, and most importantly for me, Bob Mortimer is
Yeah.
one of my all-time. Joe Wilkinson is one of my all-time favorites, but
Yeah.
Bob Mortimer, for me personally, from UK comedians, he is he's the goat.
Yeah.
He's the best. I love Bob Mortimer. It was such a funny show, and in classic UK form, there's only 6 episodes, I think, right? So, but yeah, it's goddamn funny, man. It's goddamn funny.
Yeah. Just
Very
watching.
entertaining.
So yeah. So if you guys want
Anyway,
to
there you go. There's
have a laugh,
a little sneak
definitely.
peek to wet your whistle.
Yeah. And just to mention that. Because we can pull the comic subject now.
Sure, I'll do that. Yeah. Did you ever read Assorted Crisis Events? I thought the first issue was fun. No, I did not.
I don't know what's that.
Here we go. Presenting. So, new technology unveiling. Dun, da,
Oh,
da,
you want me to do?
da.
Oh, okay. You want me to do that? Oh, not that.
Oh, yeah,
That.
you may as well. I thought that's what you said. Pull up that.
No, I was like,
You may as
no.
well.
Let's just. I was thinking talk about comics. So on last week's episode of our chat, if you have missed it, go to my channel. And why the hell not watch it? But I was reading some classic X-Men, which I picked up from Comic Book Mart, and on one of them has this ad of this particular series, Epic Comics, 4-issue series. I only read 2 at the moment. And then we have this new system which I managed to work it out, and then I can do this, and you can guys explore and actually see the panels. So this series is concentrating on our Wolverine, but also Havoc, the Summers boy, one of brother of a new Alex Summers. So brother to Cyclops. And I never really aware of Havoc that much, nor I read. I mean, in classic X-Men series, of course, I've seen him, but not really concentrated on, because I usually on the team, more kind of like fan rather than individuals. So it was interesting for me just for point of view of seeing what is this series all about. But this surprises me the most is that the series have painted art with like futuristic stylistically, like they use pictures or actual pictures of certain amounts, and then of course there's an art or more painted art further down in a line, which starts as kind of, this is graphically like designed panels. But the story, what it starts with is they're talking about the nuclear plants, and they were talking about Chernobyl. They're talking about Russia, of course, Russia involved everywhere in the experiments of the nuclear weapons, and the people who is taking care of the plants, they experiment in certain things, or they trying to do an experiment which really goes bad, and there's an explosion. I wasn't really like understood exactly the points where there were two main characters gets come involved, because the situation gets out of hand, explosion happens, and radiation, which we had 1980. Wow, my facts are going to be shit in real life. 1980 something, 86, isn't it? 86, which actually Chernobyl has had an accident as well, which got affected. Many people got affected, including my country where I'm from. And actually, my parents had to give me a drug in order to basically have less effect of, because it was ongoing cloud covering our country.
1986. You're right. Yeah, 1986.
Wow, look at me.
Good work.
So this is kind of mentioned that parts. And then we get our characters involved. First of all, I've not heard of this creator, John E. Myth, the artist. So
John J. Muse.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one. So I'm not sure if I was aware of him, but I really like the panels and the way they are drawn. The characters looks like really kind of like it has lots of action going on, but they don't have those typical like outlines as we used to as a comic book art. And I think it's really refreshing to see that kind of stuff, especially in 80s comic book. So it was nice that experimental. Now, you see our Alex on the top panel. So he's a famous actor. I cannot place his name. He was the poster child on many American ads. Wolverine is right at the bottom panel here, but he's basically picked. You can see the frame of the character Alex.
James Dean, probably.
Yes, that's the guy.
Yeah.
So he used him as a reference for Alex Summers, which is kind of intriguing. Wolverine definitely looks like more like a really kind of like proper, like garish looking Wolverine. His suit, even right. I find it really compelling in the way he puts his suit on, which we're gonna find out in the episode, like issue 2. But they in the fights, they are together somehow in Mexico. They get into fights, they got in trouble, they have to run away. They get into this lovely, beautiful car. And there's also always a female. It seems to be always female puts her legs into the stuff where she's not supposed to. But basically, she gets involved because they're basically stealing her beautiful red car, and she's like, "Well, you can't just leave with my car. I have, I'm going with you," not realizing that the company she's holding is not really suitable for your life being. So you get shot at, everything's happening quite but she's like, looks like she's oblivious to what's happening surrounding her. And they have this nonchalant conversation, bickering between each other, lots of fight scenes, and there's this bad guy in the car chasing them back. First of all, I love the cast they chose in this. I think it's really cool, the fight scenes, the garish look of the bad guy through the like the screen of the car, the window is really cool. It's just interesting to see it. So overall, so far, plenty of action. And of course, nothing really great happens to them because the people catch up to them and they basically get taken away. In first scenes, down on the bottom panel, you can actually see the James Dean really kind of well.
Yeah,
the
big time, yeah.
He's used really well. Yeah, it's beautiful to look at for sure. Highly recommend for you to get those 4 issue series if you can get a hold of it in the wild, or you can do as myself, do it digitally. And it's really well. It looks really well in digital format. I haven't seen the original. I can't tell you that, but the way it represents itself is really good. So they get caught, and what they do, they give them like this. By bubonic plague is what they get, and of course not knowing that who they caught, especially talking to Wolverine, they gave him like 10 times more infections inside his body, but they couldn't kill him, so he still recovered, and they separate them together, and they had this notion of saying that if you can't see each other, there's not going to be enough problems. And the one I think they're really looking for is Alex Summers because of his powers, and the one they wanted. The Wolverine was not something they basically, is just a part of it, what they tried to basically get rid of, but they couldn't. And in that sense, look at the way Wolverine looks. I like the hairdo.
Yeah, the
Absolutely
hairdo
on
is
point.
amazing.
And I think it just screams Wolverine much more than what we see sometimes in the comic books these days. So yeah, it's a really beautiful series. There's another. This is as far as I read, so I'm gonna scroll back. Yeah, this is the second series you can see, and yeah, so it still continues being beautiful art. I really like it, and the actions continues. I can't tell you how it ends, but as I say, I just read 2 of them. So yeah, this is what we have to show to
I
you.
know John J. Muth from Moonshadow.
Yeah.
When I just had to pull up his name in another window just to double check that it was the
Okay.
same guy.
Yeah.
But Moonshadow was great. And then the listing also says he did some stuff in the Sandman, The Wake, with Michael Zulli and Charles Vess.
Yeah.
Mike Carey's Lucifer, Nirvana, and Swamp
Mhm.
Thing Roots.
Yeah.
He worked with Walton Louise Simonson,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's got a pretty good list. But yeah, the one that I know him from the most is Moonshadow
Uh-huh.
with J.M. DeMatteis.
Yeah, so there's four more of these issues to read for me, and I really enjoyed it. It's like
Amazing.
fast paced, but I really like the art. I grew up. I at the beginning, those yellow, shadowy scenes they were looking at was kind of distracting to me. I was kind of not even reading full story. I kind of wanted to see like, is this how he's gonna go throughout the issue? But thankfully, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. It's just introduction. But afterwards, he's using, as I say, realistic photos in the background in some plot lines. It seems to be just to help him to kind of like not overcomplicate his own art style, because his art looks like he needs space, so his
Mm-hmm.
panels probably quite big because he's
Mm-hmm.
using like, it looks like watercolor. So if you want the small details when it comes to that kind of art style, it's kind of difficult to place, or maybe it's not just what he wanted to care about, so he used the pictures to depict some scenes he was using. So but in general, I was well impressed, honestly. I
Yeah,
was like,
cool.
the one that was epic kind of like treatment it was given to that point, because don't forget, it's a prestige format from Marvel in that time, while Epic Line was still in fruition, when comic book still was published with Epic Line tag name on them.
Mm-hmm.
So really cool.
I just wanted to highlight this one from Sean. The trade
Mhm.
for my Cosmic Lion Productions comic Red was in previews this month. That's amazing.
Oof.
Congratulations on
Because I was
completing
looking.
it. So I'm hoping at least someone reviews it when it comes out. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get my hands on it. Cosmic Lion was also doing the Matt Howarth, and it's a good reminder because I only ever saw the first issue of that. So I've got to keep my eyes open to make sure that I don't miss that as well. So anybody watching, check out Cosmic Lion for Sean's book. The artwork on Melton is absolutely beautiful. It totally is. And yes, this Wolverine hairdo needs to be canon and permanent. Absolutely.
I should have shown the costume on it, but I don't remember exactly the panel on it. So if I find while you talk, maybe I'll show it to you afterwards.
Sure. Why don't I, speaking of Cosmic Lion and Matt Howarth, I'm going to start with some Howarth. So if anybody has tuned in, you know that I got a huge care package from Nate. So I started reading picking up Post Brothers again. So I read issues 15 and 16 of the Post Brothers. This was a 2-part story. It features one of my favorite characters. Well, it doesn't feature, but he makes an appearance at the end. Cthulhu from the Post Brothers universe is one of my favorite of all of the characters.
Is it a
And
snail?
this 2-issue kind of storyline just kind of shows how just fucked up, sick and twisted the Post Brothers are. They can shift through these realities, and they kidnap this woman who's the best friend of this guy's daughter, who he basically wants him to call a garbage strike because they're going to have these big heat waves. And what he's basically done is, we find out at the end, the punchline after the 2 issues is that him and Cthulhu had a bet going that when the temperature gets to a certain level, people in the city will start killing each other. So there's a rash of murders that's happened. So he's won the bet. So it just kind of shows how bizarre and kind of twisted these guys are. Howarth's art, as usual, is great. I'm a big fan of it. I know that it's not something that everybody is kind of attracted to, but I love it. I thought this character was great. That drawing is stellar. This panel here really reminds me of something out of Copra. Matthew Allison, right? That was the name of the Copra creator there. So those 2 panels were really great. And his name is Robo Shoulder. So obviously a RoboCop type of knockoff there. These were 1989 is when these came out. And then it's the first of a Caroline graphic novel, original graphic novel. So this doesn't collect anything from the Post Brothers world or the Savage Henry world. It features Caroline and Savage Henry. So Caroline is a clone. There was an original Caroline that appeared in the comics, and they actually reprint her first appearance here from 1981, I think he says. No, 1979 is when she first appeared. I've got this reprinted in another Matt Howarth comic where they talk about it. I think he mentions here Contamination Zone, possibly, was the miniseries. Yeah, Contaminated Zone. So nice to see some art from Howarth. So his basic idea was that he was going to sort of retell her origin story, but we're going to go to before this origin story. So there are lots of like jumping through time. Out of all the Howarth stuff that I've read, I didn't mind this one. I don't think it's his best. It's one of those that I in the kind of place of recommending Howarth for people to get into. I don't know if this is the best place to start. He kind of leans a little heavily on everybody's ability to kind of jump through these different realities. So he uses that a lot in this one. And then whenever you're dealing with jumping back in time, like they find themselves in 1979, there is some good musical references here. Ashra Temple is the band that they're going to see. And if you know like German krautrock, you know about Ashra Temple. Of course, Konrad Schnitzler is talked about in here as well too. So it is Matt Howarth's universe. It's very much steeped in his love of music. He puts in some history from that music, love, passions into the story as well. But other than that, I just feel like it leaned a little too heavily on, oh, I did that on 5 pages ago. You just didn't see me do it. It's almost like these afterthoughts to kind of move the story around, which isn't standard for Howarth. So I don't know if it's his strongest stuff. I'm a mark for Howarth though, so I still thoroughly enjoyed it. The simplicity of his art style really works for me, especially when he starts pairing it with a bunch of other a little more detailed art at times. So like I think I showed this panel when I first unboxed it, but I love this page here. She shifts to a reality where she's impervious to the kind of heat, but the ninjas aren't. These ninjas are French, but they speak with American accents because they think it sounds hip. So it's filled with these kind of comical moments and just kind of plain silly. She jumps to a reality where she meets the Post Brothers when they're still small children, but they're still just as violent as they are in the kind of Post Brothers comics. So I love this stuff. I'm a real fan of Howarth. The more that I read, or the more that you read of Howarth stuff, the more you kind of get into his universe. It just kind of becomes more enjoyable. It's not they're not they're not super deep stories or anything. They're
Yeah.
just plain fun, and they're just plain silly. And being a music fan myself and knowing Conrad Schnitzler's music and a lot of these bands he ends up talking about, I am familiar with their music.
Oh,
He's had the Residents appear in his comics before as well too. So I know a lot of those bands already. So that's an extra layer. If you know that stuff, it's an extra layer of enjoyment. So it's great to kind of have some more Howarth to sit and read, because
so
I've
the
been feeling I've been jonesing for it a little bit.
so now question is Post Bros. It's if you random, I find random issue to, for example, to get, and I go to read it, will I get completely like confused what he's talking
No,
about?
because that's kind of how I started. I just picked up random issues and read them. The only reason I'm going back to the beginning now is just because that's how I like. Now that I know that I like his stuff, I do
Yes.
kind of want to follow it through. The Caroline storyline does actually have an arc to it.
Yeah.
It ends with faith or foe. So there's sort of like it took up, I think he said maybe almost 10 years through various kind of publishing. But the thing with Howarth stuff is that he never, it's very rare that he published a ton with one company. He was
Okay.
one of those guys that jumped all over the place. So even if you are trying to read it chronologically, it's really difficult to do that. But honestly, I don't think it ruins any of the fun. The only time it might kind of be a little confusing is if he doesn't do many kind of multi-comic volumes, like where it's a continuing story. Generally, you can pick up any one of the Post Brothers stuff and read it and see if you like it, and then if you do enjoy the style, then that I would suggest kind of digging in a little deeper. But the entire time I've read Howarth, it's always been whatever I can get my hands on, whatever I find in the bins. I ordered directly from Howarth, which you can do. And if you talk to him, he'll sign stuff for you as well. And then that way, again, like you're supporting the artist directly. So I'll make sure I put a link to his stuff in the description of this video.
You talk quite often about Matt Howarth, so the name is springing into my head more often now because of your influence. So I'm kind of like, because I like the art style. I find it really hilarious to look at the way his panels are. So, and I mean composition lines and all that stuff, and it's black and white, and it appeals to me, especially older times. Black and whites are also very appealing to me. So.
Well, and that's the thing I would suggest. If you like the earlier stuff you can get a Howarth, the better. Like if you can get like stuff from like 1979, 1980, 1981, I would say that his detail and some of that stuff is even more impressive than his stuff later. I still enjoy his later stuff, but the earlier, the better, I think, when it comes to Howarth, because there's some pages that I've read and some things where it's this kind of simple art style for the characters, and then you'll turn the page and it'll be these crazy pixelated and detailed, or pointillist kind of rather detailed backgrounds that are just mind-blowingly gorgeous, because the contrast of the character against this heavily detailed, what must have taken hours to produce. It's beautiful to look at.
Oh, cool. But yeah, it sounds really cool because you keep on talking and you were like, like when you're enjoying it. So it's kind
He's fun. It's fun comics. It's nothing too heavy. It's just silly fun.
Yeah, so that's what comics should be in the ways, not everything has to be serious. Fun comic, still a classic X-Men is. So I read only one. This
You're not going digital. You have something queued up here, digital. No, okay.
Yeah, I'll show you to you digital because of this series basically. But now I'm talking about this. So classic X-Men is surprising me furthermore. So I'm definitely going to be on a hunt when I'm going to ever hunt for comics. So classic X-Men will be for me. Because there's that extra material, I'm becoming more and more fan. And Ascent is featured quite a lot. There's other issue, I think 32 will have in like 2 or 3 even extra stories in them. So I think this is what's winning even more. I mean, I'm an X-Men fan, but I never thought that classic X-Men, because they are reprints. For example, this issue concentrates on is reprinting this issue, which is 125 of the original run. So I never thought about it, but now actually reading it and looking at it, those extra stories actually becoming more and more intriguing to me to understand. It just opens up a character a bit more, and maybe that's what the intent was. Don't forget, we have extra things to tell them. It's not only about these classic stories, and if you have managed to do that, we have giving you an extra stories when it comes to the characters you like from this classic X-Men. So Dark Phoenix saga kind of comes into fruition in here, and the full power of our Jean Grey, who is showing, and this is kind of like aftermath. Like they realize she helps X-Men to live again because she sacrificed herself when the Quinjet basically gets into this things. They also remind you of that storyline in here really well. But more target, which is supposed to be a a squeeze of Xavier, Charles Xavier, but then he is not in on Earth. He's actually in the other planets, which becomes quite funny with an extra story. How Xavier becomes a little bit petty child, written by Anne Nocenti, by the way. Anyway, so this story, if you're well not aware of this Dark Phoenix saga, where it's basically after she's getting the powers, the Moira McTaggart realizing how powerful Jean Grey can be with that power, godlike kind of feature. But behind the scenes, there's other kind of like notions happening around them, where X-Men who survived came back to the mansion, doing the dark room situations where Cyclops is basically lifting some heavy stuff because Cyclops, Scott Summers, is prepping your X-Men to a point. And it's fantastic to look at. I really like it. It's kind of refreshing me once again about X-Men lore and why I kind of enjoy it. They're also introducing you the Magneto, age Magneto, much clever Magneto, this asteroid going around and reminiscing of his old days, and that he's gonna come and give the wrath to on Earth because why not? He has that power, and he's gonna be much more calculated and go after X-Men because X-Men, they always come behind it. And the most intriguing part of the Jean Grey's and her being part of a Hellfire Club, which is not kind of always reminisce about it. Kind of, I know most of the storylines, but snippets I not fully have read Hellfire Club situation because I was picking up some comic books, and then like when you start pulling the run, you don't completely finish the storylines. You're continuously looking for them, so when you get hold of them, you read them again. So those gaps between your reading experiences not the same as you would just take a whole chunk of graphic novel absorbed completely and you'll know the story from end to end. So maybe that's why I kind of like it feels like a refreshing thing for me to read again once from this classic series of X-Men. But Jean Grey has been manipulated by this douche. His name is what his name is what's your name, Mr. Man? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so he's tormenting her in her brain. He's manipulating her. He's basically making her to become that power of Phoenix, come into a complete overhaul by Jean Grey, because her experiences from the whole, like he's actually even explained to her from her youth to these days and Hellfire Club, there's still more for him to use and abuse. And the one goal for him is to make her love him. Oh, what a puny man he is. And then we have our Xavier story where he's part of Leandra's world in the alien world, where they have spanning galaxies who are in charge of, and he thinks that because he's part of this great nation, he's been treated like an idiot of the village, almost like a joker, part of like a, they make laugh of him, they don't involve him in difficult conversations. And also there's keeps on like this, so it comes in or forth the situation here. So it's a lot of action going on and everything involved. Also, Beast appears, which I didn't aware of at that time that he was part of the Avengers. He just came to visit. He got panicked because the mansion was inhabited again, and he was really sure that he locked it up. Everybody gets surprised and find out you're alive, and he's really chuffed that his buddies from the olden times have survived the ordeal of Dark Phoenix saga. So it's lots of things happening here, and I'm proper loving it, every single bit of it. I'm really enjoying throughout this. And the most intriguing part of it doesn't finish the storyline. I'm going to continue in issue 32. But because of this, and I don't know, Terrence is here. Terrence, you there? I don't see you in the panels. Did you just kick yourself?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm still
Oh,
here.
okay. Oh, okay, cool. So, can you show me that thing I have on display?
There you
So,
go.
because of that, I've been looking for the crawler figure. I always wanted to have one. To my
Shush.
surprise, this figure is getting sold out really quickly everywhere online. So if I want to find it, I need to go to an actual store. And these day and age,
Oh, so this is newly out. This is the new one you were talking about last week.
I think so. There was another one. There's two of them came out. There's one Marvel Legends and there's one X-Men 97. I really like this one because it actually looks like Nightcrawler from the like original 97 series kind of thing. Not the animated series, but that's how I know Nightcrawler from this original series of the comic book. So I really
Mhm.
wanted to get hold of it. But online, apparently, everywhere is getting sold out like a cupcakes.
Yeah,
And
no surprise.
these days, toy shops are not there anymore. I also found that extra information for you guys. You can take that way. But one of biggest and oldest independent another comic book shops in London has closed. And guess
Mm.
who took over? Forbidden Planet took over the shop.
Ah.
So now they're gonna. It's in Camden Town. Mega City Comics is what's called. I just read announcement from Forbidden Planet. No threat. There's comic book shop still there. Just the name has changed.
Mhm.
Really, Forbidden Planet's to big corporation take over the
Crazy,
independent.
man.
Yeah, so that's what happens. Just a snippet of information, if that matters
Mhm.
to you guys. But what's the most what's the most intriguing for me is this extra information we get about Spigot at the end of the universe. So Xavier is in this universe where he's been basically he saved Leander's life. He's there. You kind of marry the extra stories, but here they concentrate in him being a little bit petty because he doesn't like to be treated like a human idiot between the races of kind of like intelligence, because apparently all aliens don't think that humans at all has any intelligence whatsoever, and Mr. Xavier don't like that feeling whatsoever. So in this story, we have him kind of being like a child, because basically he's playing this 3D chess by himself, and then this alien mother of the child comes towards him and asks him if her child would like to play with him, and he's like, "No, I'm good." And then she walks away and she said, "Well, I guess humans are like this all the time." So he representing the nation without realizing how much he's representing. And then Leandra kind of gets enforced to have a conversation with little Xavier, tell him, "Sorry, adults are talking. You can't be here. Why don't you just find out about yourself a little bit?" Which is hilarious.
Mhm.
And then she basically introduces him to this alien plumber to take Xavier away because he's nuisance and we need space. So he takes him for a ride, and this alien basically teaches him like a child that you shouldn't be like this. You should be a bit grown up, kind of thing, or don't, because he's asking him, why why you here? Why are you doing this plumber job? Because it's beneath you. And she's like, why do you think it's beneath me? Look at me. I'm actually enjoying myself. And he basically gets a life lesson, which is kind of hilarious. And Innocent is written this one. I think John Bolton is an art. I've never seen this alien beforehand. She's quite intriguing because honestly, when you talk to Xavier this way, it always gets in my books really kind of high because I would like to know more about it. He even himself asks Leandra afterwards, who is she? Because Kaiser kind of doesn't understand who she is and where she's come from, which is actually kind of hilarious. But this extra story just gave me like a smirk on my face. I really like the way Xavier's been shown in a different light because he's usually the most experienced human. It's even saying in this comic book, saying like, I'm being treated like, like this, like carefully, because I have my intelligence is so high and I have this high level of like abilities and all that stuff, blah blah blah. And then he comes into this kind of world where he's not really needed, and he's been basically not feeling really great because nobody's like treating him like he deserves to be so. And also, there's an ad at the end, which I'm getting hooked by the way, which is not very good for me. I've never seen this before in this format. So this is a trade paper bag. which came out, and it's representing the classic adventure in the home of Norse god. And I looked on eBay. I made an offer, and I'm gonna get this.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
So it's very bad. Don't get classic X-Men.
The
because
ads
you
sucker
get
you
sucked
in.
if you're at all any fan. But I will
It's
let you
great
know.
though. I love when that happens. Like that's part
Yeah,
of the, because I agree with you. I love, like, in this stuff that I get, I love seeing the ads for stuff. That's part of the fun for me, and
yeah,
discovering stuff that maybe you didn't know about. That's so great
yeah,
that you found it too.
yeah. I like £5 is gonna cost me. So
Beauty.
I wouldn't say for trade paperback bag. I don't think that's gonna hold back for me. It's not bad. So yeah, classic X-Men's fantastic. Honestly, I've been loving it because I am a fan of. I'm a fan X-Men fan. I'm kind of
Mhm.
excited because I really like the cover of this next.
That's a really nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a beauty of
Nice
the cover.
blue on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's X-Men 32, and its story from 126 Uncanny X-Men in
Mm.
search of Mutant X. So,
So all those backup stories, none of
yeah,
them have been published before, just in there, right? They haven't come
yes,
from
but I'll
somewhere else
show
yet.
you this extra stories. This is so fun because, so this one, you have two stories. So Chris Claremont is the original story. Then you have
Mhm,
a shred of humanity with Anne Nocenti once again, but there's an
mhm.
extra one in this one. It has Steve Lighty. Is that how you pronounce? Can you
I
see?
can't see it, but sure, I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Steve Lighty, artist and front cover and the front piece. John Bolter, artist and back cover. Anyway, so they kind of got involved, or maybe it's just the two stories. Maybe I'm making a mistake. Let me see. But anyway, it looks bloody fantastic because it's one story. Sorry, extra story, but it looks
Mm.
like this.
Oh yeah, cool.
So the Wolverine
That's
and
crazy.
Nightcrawler go completely wacky, and I'll show you another extra piece which I like. Look at that shit, man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Even though I know you're not the next Man fan, but look, come on,
Yeah,
man. It looks great.
yeah, yeah.
Wolverine's
Nice.
become a Spider-Man. Somebody's
Yeah.
involved, and then afterwards it becomes this. Sorry, spoiler alert. So yeah,
Of
so
course. Yeah. Crazy.
I'm looking forward to this shit. So yeah, this is really
Uh huh.
exciting too. Anyway, next time we talk, we'll mention this, and that's
Yeah,
the
for
cover,
sure.
the back cover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I feel like
it's
I've seen that somewhere before.
exactly. But anyway, so yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this classic X-Men. It's surprising how much, and they were used to. I never picked them up because guess what? They were too cheap. And I was like, oh, so I'm always gonna find them. And then so something happened when they decided to collect them as an omnibus.
Yeah.
And guess what happened because of that treatment of omnibus? All the classic X-Men comic books were coming into price. So
Yeah.
even issue number 1, which is a reprint of Giant Size X-Men, by the way, if you were not aware, is at least £6 online, at
Hmm.
least going
Hmm.
price. And at the
Something that
time,
was probably in the 50p bins forever, right? Yeah.
yes, it was you always in 50p bin. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm always gonna pick it up. It's always there, like kind of,
Yeah.
you shrug that off. But so and then I was looking to see when I went to the comic mart, when I saw that classic stuff, I was like, oh, more, I want more, like because I started getting excited because it was cheap once again. It's like I know exactly what it's all about, those extra stories. I really want to know. Blah blah
Hmm.
blah. So and I couldn't find it because I was for online is much more expensive. Of course, this is evident. But I was getting frustrated because I honestly kind of like felt like, oh, I'm missing out on something because I wasn't aware of any extra stories until that omnibus come out, until people was reviewing the X-Men omnibus, and that omnibus of a classic X-Men is completely sold out, and it's not being in reprint because they don't really reprint that one, even though it was really popular and it got like taken, and now it's like out of print for like a couple of years now. So.
Hmm.
So it's funny how things goes, eh?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. All of a sudden, one day you can't get rid of it, and the next day everybody's clamoring for it. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna talk quickly about one book and then show off. This segment is the return of kind of artists that I've really enjoyed. So
Ooh.
The Boy Wonder from Junie Ba was something that I really dug. It was mainly his art style I thought was so great. So Jared Osborne had shown off this new Junie Ba book called Monkey Meat.
Oh, you found
Uh,
it. I couldn't find it in issue 1.
I found it. So I found it a couple of weeks ago, and I just, because I've been cleaning up down here, I rebuilt my shelf up there and organized things, and found a couple of books that I don't think I've talked about. So I was really taken when Jared showed this. It's a fun little kind of anthology. It's set up as sort of like this Monkey Meat Industries, that it's sort of this it's almost like this advertisement for this corporation, and in it it's this anthology, but it's all Junie Ba's stuff. And what took me by surprise when I saw Jared Osborne talking about it was this first story. The art in this is really a stunner. It has a lot of Samurai Jack sort of feel to me, with kind of poses and kind of the characters more simplistic kind of style. Having it on this newsprint really adds a layer to it as well, because it's really nicely textured. I really enjoyed this. I can't really remember too much about the individual stories, but even when I was reading it, I was more soaking in the art. Same thing I was doing with Boy Wonder. Like, I couldn't even really tell you right now much other than the very basic premise of Boy Wonder, but he's just an artist that I hadn't really had any experience with before. So it's nice that these guys are not only getting a series, but then they're coming back for more stuff. So that's the first story. And then we get a kind of nod to the Boy Wonder there in this next kind of piece here. So, and there's letter columns that are not really letters. There's advertisements from the corporation. So I feel like this is something that he's done before, possibly. Maybe there was previous Monkey Meat issues that I don't know if he's maybe self-published or what this backstory is, but really fun. So then in the world of artists that are coming back, Javier Rodriguez is back, and I found this today.
I told you about it.
But I told you about it.
No, I told you last week about it. I said you
Yes,
have to
you
pick
did.
it up,
Yeah,
because you the one who was so involved in the Zatanna series he'd made. So,
dude, I'll just flip through it and show you some images. Like I said, I've just started reading it this afternoon because I picked it up this afternoon. Man, oh man. So I think it might have been Damien that was saying that that the art in this one is even a little crazier than in Zatanna. And I would say that that's possibly the case. So it slowly starts to build up throughout the issue, where it starts pretty straight, and we get these kind of senses of Martian Manhunter making an appearance. So we start to get kind of changes to the even coloring on the pages within specific panels. Things kind of get a little wilder until finally we're hit with stuff like this. Like, I mean, look at that page, dude. So he's surrounded by this kind of psychedelic smoke throughout the first half of the book. But again, I don't know the premise behind it. And then we get full blown into just complete, beautiful color, abstract beauty. And then he has a nice little gimmick here at the end. If you hold this page up to the sun, you can see the page that's on the other side reflected through it, and you can read the text the right way. I don't think I've ever, other than Matt Howarth, actually going back to Matt Howarth, he did a similar thing in his WRAX, I think is what it was called, where you hold up the page and it's these TV sets, and you can see what's printed on the other page is kind of like subliminal messaging is how he uses it. So, man, oh man, I'm glad I got my hands on this. I almost forgot. So I went to the shop to pick up my pull list because this wasn't on my pull list. I'm glad that I looked at the shelves to remind myself, because they only had a couple of issues left. I'm sure I could have still found it. But if you enjoyed Zatanna and you don't know about Martian Manhunter like I didn't know, make sure that you grab it. I think this came out last week. I think it's like brand new, or 2 weeks ago, or was it just this past week?
Last week. Yeah.
So don't sleep on that, especially if you like Zatanna. So I'm hoping to read that, and I can talk about it in more detail tonight during the Sunday wrap there. Dan Elson was just reading a new series from Mad Cave called Prairie Gods. Have you guys checked that one out? No, I haven't.
Open my thing.
Written, drawn, colored by Shane Connery Volk, who did that Nottingham series. Okay.
put my presentation.
Oh, you got it there?
The cover.
There you go. 5-issue miniseries, but basically just 5 separate one-shots. Nothing extremely mind-blowing, but really good art and color with little horror stories that remind me of old school comics. That's crazy. Yeah, that looks great. You have this one, or did you just find it online?
No, I just found the cover, so I wanted to show it to you. So it looks really
cool.
good. I just only found this. I couldn't find. I didn't look to it's part of in Mad Cave Studios. They show you the cover thing. So I'm not really.
It looks pretty great.
I haven't read many Mad Cave books at all, so I don't have any. But like art looks great, and it's cowboys, which kind of speaks to me in a way because of the sheriffs and those guns they having. So it's interesting. You can
has a good grit to it for sure.
Yeah. Shane Connery and Folk. Folk is the artist, or Shane Connery is the writer. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. And then Sean saying the artwork. The artwork on Absolute Martian Manhunter makes me think that this is what being on drugs might be like, but in a good way. Yeah, absolutely. The art is really good and scratchy and covered in ink and splatter. Awesome. I mean, that's what it looks like for sure. You want me to hit the shared screen thing?
Why not? I just show you to you. I have read this quite a long time ago, but it's Dark Horse came out with Star Wars, the Bad Batch series, which one of the series Disney Plus is created, which absolutely fantastic animated series.
We started watching it, but we never finished it.
Yeah, it's really good, very emotional. Or you get involved with this Bad Batch quite. They are clones, but they are clones with experiment who didn't pan out, and they just like unique clones. They look kind of similar to each other because of cloning, but they have different abilities to each other. One is like a super sniper, another one is tech, another one is brute force, and the one who is sorry, I'm blanking names now of them, but doesn't matter really. And the guy who's in charge,
Andor, that's the name. Andor.
So they are 4 dudes basically who is having this made like really good animated series, well worth time. Any animated series honestly created fantastic. Ignore Disney stuff, like whatever, but they really created a great animated series like the Clone Wars, and this all goes into the same timeline kind of space. So it's really intriguing. Also, there's this another female clone which they were trying to do also, who Omega, her name is Omega, and she's like a child clone who hasn't yet grown up. I don't think she will ever grown up because experiment once again gone wrong, but she had this DNA sequence which were getting really excited by the Star Wars universe people, bad people. Anyway, but Dark Horse came out with a series. I think there's 2 issues or 3 issues now, but I just wanted to show you how it looks inside. It still feels kind of like that, but it's not because it's drawn not by the creators of the TV series, but it's kind of like kind of things. It's really cool story in a way. I think it's just like first issues, they don't really give you much, just make you a little bit more excited about the storyline. They're going once again after somebody, or they get employed to do something for a Jedi, and they're going after this dude. They come into this bar. They see the ugly faces, as they call them, because they're clones. They smirked about since the Clone Wars. You don't want to show the clone face whatsoever, kind of thing. So yeah, so this is a series to mention about Star Wars, because we mentioned Star Wars. I kind of like wanted to show you this as well.
Yeah, cool.
Because it was part of it. You can completely stop it. So yeah, Dark Horse is doing some Star Wars things I always wanted to read, but Marvel is also doing Star Wars. I think Ahsoka is one series which I absolutely love, because TV series Ahsoka I kind of like. I also think they dragged the shit out of it because it's Disney as well.
I remember enjoying it. I think I'm pretty sure we watched it with Lillian. I think we liked it. Yeah, I mean, I obviously know I can picture it, but I don't remember too much about the story. But I do remember we enjoyed it, I think.
Yeah. And one thing what people were fans of Star Wars excited about, the person who basically made this, was in charge of Star Wars executive somebody. She's been
Mhm.
sacked. So people are
Oh.
rejoicing because they're probably gonna bring back the life to Star Wars as what they're expecting beforehand. I don't
Mm.
know the names. I'm blabbing the shit out because I heard it somewhere or read it somewhere on socials. But
Mhm.
I thought I will mention it because it's kind of intriguing because they are coming out with a new the TV shows and continuation like Andor. They spend hell of a lot of money for that. I don't know how they're gonna make the money back,
I
but
hope it's good,
everybody,
man.
oh yeah, because the first season was really good. Uh,
So good.
so they're hoping to get the money back. But they say this is the most expensive Star Wars TV show
Oh, are
produced.
you serious?
Yeah, I think the last time I saw the mark of $5 million has been spent, but it's
Crazy.
going upwards. Apparently, they still continuously spending money because I guess they're using all that what do they call it, special effects, and this cost money,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the
Right.
actors they're employing is probably aren't cheap either.
Hmm.
So like that's why
Everybody
the
wants
series
that
Andor in
Star
generally
Wars.
has been delayed for a year or two, isn't it? A year and a half, maybe.
I mean, it's been delayed for a long fucking time. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then even up to the finish line, like it was
yeah,
supposed to come out at the end of last year. Then it
yeah,
was pushed another month and then it was pushed to the new year and now it's
yeah,
pushed to April. So I'm hoping that April is but I won't be convinced until I see the first episode. It's
yeah,
supposed to come out mid-April is when it's supposed to start. So I'm looking forward to it. A couple more
yeah.
weeks, two,
Yeah.
3 more weeks, something like that, maybe.
Anyway, so it's just mentioning something because we talk about the same subjects. I thought I'll just continue what I
Hmm.
still remember while it's still in my head because I will tend to forget afterwards. So yeah,
Yeah.
so kind of like a lot of stuff going on in movies.
Yeah, totally.
So do you want me to talk more about it? I just mentioned this. I can talk another comic if you want.
Yeah, if you want to talk more about this, like this screen here, sharing this
No,
again.
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
okay. Yeah.
No more screen. I think
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm done with the screens. Um, I picked up from a library. It's called The Strays by
Mm.
Chris W. Kim. Apparently, this creator has produced work before, and it's called Herman by Trade. The same creator. This is Self-Made Hero, which you're well aware of. My UK libraries love a Self-Made Hero, so of course I'm gonna
Hmm.
find it. This Strays book has been released in 2021, isn't it? Yes. Very honestly, quite sad. It doesn't really fully explain to you what's happening to this person. So we're following this dude here and this crowd of humans who are of a town which had a catastrophe. The catastrophe is shown to us like so. It doesn't really explain why and what's going on here. We're kind of following aftermath of the crash and destruction of the town, and we're seeing him, our main character, going to his sister's place because he doesn't know where to go. He's lost his job, his place of living. Is basically whatever you make your in order for you to survive. He doesn't have it anymore, but thankfully he has a sister who's willing to help and invited him to come to the new town, to her where she lives, basically for him to basically start over. And he's kind of like not sure what like when you are being after some sort of catastrophe, you have to start from the get-go. You don't have a job, you feel useless, you kind of like start making excuses on everything, and his sisters basically try to encourage him to find the work again, and like start his life once more. And it's just like at the beginning of the pages we get him going to supermarkets. He's explaining himself how weird the cashiers are because they talk too much on the subjects he's not really feel like talking about and feels uncomfortable. And because he has like 100 cans of cat food because his sister has a cat, he goes to supermarket to buy an enormous amount of cat food because he's not doing much in his life at that moment. And the conversation with the cashier wasn't very pleasant for him. So yeah, it's a kind of intriguing part of the storyline, and it goes like a little bit until the job starts, and he gets the job as a delivery guy, delivering packages from address to address. He gets kind of excited because he's finally finding something being useful about. However, while he's doing this new job and he's happy about it, he starts seeing people For the beginning, when I was starting to read the story, like, what's actually the people are real? Is this the catastrophe which made him like imagining stuff? But to his own surprise, and hopefully that kind of explain the storyline, he's meeting the people from the city where he's from, where his life was from, and all the people he's meeting is those friends of his, and it's like surprised to see them in the same town. How is that possible that we in the same places once again, by randomly meeting because he's going, the deliveries as his delivery service. Extremely intriguing. The To what point I say that it comes a bit weird. So as this Happy New Year happens, he's texting to he's because he start while he's delivering all the stuff, he start meeting all his buddies of his and friends or people, neighbors, the people who he knew from the town of the catastrophe. And he started to basically get them all together to reminisce, to understand their point of view on life, and nobody's answering. And then while he's doing this delivery services, he goes to this huge mansion, and to his own surprise, he kind of like creeps into this big mansion, those doors, and it has this kind of way of putting the panels together in the darkness and all that, kind of like like trying to impose the emotions. All these people he has met is in that one mansion living. And you're like, and I was reading, it's like, surely this is like, I don't know what the hell is going on, because it feels like he's imagining shit, or he's hallucinating, or something really bad happened to his brain that he's seeing this. And the way he's also, this creator is trying to portray, they started, because while he's seeing them all in there, he's decided to take upon himself to take all this crowd of people, because he's so caring, and because he's longing to have that attachment from that place of time when he was living, that he was trying to become kind of a savior, because all these people who he has met in this mansion lost their jobs suddenly, because it's a seasonal job, like Christmas, everything is packed up, everybody's going to shopping, we need extra staff just for that period of time. Christmas is over, New Year, you sacked, because they don't need you anymore, because there's not enough traffic anymore for you to be working. So he's basically ends up having those friends, and he starts feeding them and giving them food, brings them everything, and it's like they don't think for themselves. He's the only one who makes decisions for them somehow. And it becomes a little bit more bizarre. But right at the end of the storyline, he gets in trouble. He carries something. He can't do anything for them anymore. And he asks his sister to basically to get all this crowd of people to live in her small apartment, because he just wants to help. And somehow his sister is like agrees with that kind of stuff. And then while he has this accident, those people who are supposed to be his friends not even do anything about it. They just stand there. They get fed. They make mess, kind of thing. They eat and they just stand there. It's just kind of bizarre explanation of the storyline, but it's intriguing right until the end. I don't know if he's fully comprehended the story he wanted to portray, but it was very entertaining. And his art style, very kind of really great in the black and white. Sometimes it's a bit
it's very cool.
muddled in some places, but it honestly has this intrigue in it. It has a lot of scratchy lines, but I honestly I enjoyed it. I was baffled by most of the time, because it has this panels where like lots of crowd of people comes in. This is the executives of the person who was owner of that mansion, and they somehow they come about to be together again, and he basically ends up finding them a job as a house builders, and they become like all this crowd of people starts building this huge tower, and they like ants, like he's the queen ant, and they just told them to go work, and they just doing the job because that's the survival part of it. So it's kind of intriguing things. So it's refreshing, honestly, to read something like that. It's been a while since I read something from Self-Made Hero, and this is just called Strays. It's very emotional. I mean, probably I haven't really expressed myself deeply enough for you guys to understand, but it's an experience. What are you doing? Oh, Herman by Trade.
This is his
yes, that's his.
Yeah. There you go. So there's this Herman by Trade.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of show, like, I really like his art style. It's really,
so
it's right up my alley. It looks really cool.
If we
Yeah,
can
the
help.
few times that you talked about self-made hero in the past, they've always
Yeah.
been pretty intriguing.
Yes.
So I've opened up the page on my computer just to remind me about it as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks really great, man. Really, really nice. So that's that one. And then I'll just kind of share the other one here as well to share screen. So this is like, and even just going to the home page of Self-Made Hero, like that looks that's a great cover. That's a great cover. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like right out of the gate, you know,
Yes,
Polka Dot
self-made heroes.
Queen. I know that woman. Yeah, yeah.
Self-made
This
heroes
looks
have
great.
a lots of people out of all over, like the like lots of artists who you don't really give a like you don't see. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
just go, you have to go to Self-Made Hero to understand what the variety of creators they have in them, and there are lots of like people from all over the place, Europe, Americas, and all that stuff. You know, like and
Ooh,
subjects, of course, also. So
Brian Talbot.
yeah,
I
big help.
mean, yeah, there's a number of things on here that jump out for sure.
Well, they
Just yeah, there's Days of
Amy
Sand. You've talked about that one.
Amy De Jong is the one who's actually has a new book as well coming out. There you go, the strays are there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he's fantastic. Honestly, I highly. It's good
Cool.
to, with library when you know like have a chance to go in libraries. I find self-made hero. I always look and pick because I never know if, you know, like what you I'm gonna experience by. I haven't read the Herman by his work by trade,
I remember
but
trade. Yeah.
yeah, but this is really cool. I when I opened it up, I also usually don't really need to scroll around, but I opened up and I really like the way he's black and white because I draw in black and white lately as well. So it's kind of intriguing to see what other people's how they use the expressions and stuff like that. So
There's also this one too, Adherent from Conundrum Press, and Conundrum Press, I believe, is a UK publisher as well. They've done some manga and things as well,
yeah.
and this one looks amazing too. Like, I don't know if the whole thing is silent, but the sample pages look to be all silent panels, but really, really nice, like that borderless panel kind of layout.
I'll show you. Surprising enough, you're showing Conundrum Press, and my next book I'll go to talk about is from Conundrum Press. So,
Oh, is it really? Oh, that's hilarious.
so yeah, it's your turn now. It's your turn.
So continue.
Oh,
8.
hello. Wait.
What did I do there?
Huh?
What's going on?
Oh, there you are.
This, yes, that's the button.
Yes.
Continuing with the stuff I got from Nate, this one is the image that we used today, or that I used today. This is Sparrow and Crow from a company called Hermes Press. This kind of caught my eye when I was going through the box. I love the hand shadow that's kind of creeping along there. So it's really great. So I guess how this started, this was a series of kind of radio plays that these creators had put together. They were then approached by somebody who was a big fan, who had actually, I'll show you that first because they have the samples, who was a big fan of the radio show and had decided to create some of the radio show scenes and draw comic pages out of them. So he kind of got in touch with them out of the blue. Souza, let me get his name right here. Jared Souza. So his name is Jared Souza. So he kind of sent it off to them and said, hey, I just wanted to share this with you. I love the show. I usually sit and draw while I'm listening. So it kind of sparked their interest to put together a comic based on these characters and sort of retell some of those radio plays. There is, I believe there's still a site for Sparrow and Crow that you can find some of that stuff. Unfortunately, so I think this one went 4 issues. It's not easy to get a handle, or I couldn't easily find the rest of them. I did find a place that you could get issue number 2. I think Hermes Press themselves possibly, but the other issues I couldn't find. So I kind of put it on a wish list. I don't even think I found this one on Lone Star, to be honest. But again, like within my wheelhouse of art styles, this is 100% there. I really, really liked it. It was kind of like this. He's sort of, he goes around and does exorcisms and things, right? So he's dealing with a lot of demons and possessions. And they also have a lot of shots like this here that are from this kind of low angle looking up. And one of the things that he he's got a fake hand because of some dealing with some sort of demon at some point. So some of this backstory is kind of hinted at here. I haven't listened to any of the radio dramas, but there's this boxer that's possessed, so he enters the ring with him and gets the shit kicked out of him.
Oh my goodness.
Draws a pentagram to trap him with his own blood, and then kind of, saves this guy. Really, really clever. He gets picked up on the side of the road by a couple of gangsters. Basically, you say you need to, or sorry, not outside the road. They come and find where he lives and says you need to come and talk to the boss. You don't really have a choice, and he doesn't know what the hell he's getting into. When he ends up talking to the boss, this mobster, there's something that's gone on with his daughter, which I'll show you, because again, this is a book that's not as easy to find, so I don't mind too much about spoilers. Yeah. But again, with this low angle shot here for him, as he's opening the door to reveal his daughter, who's been possessed by a demon that knows Sparrow himself. So we meet again, basically, kind of thing. Like, just such a fucking cool book, man. Like, this is high on the list now of trying to find this. This was from, I don't remember what year.
Sparrow and what?
Sparrow and Crow, Crowe. Is there any sort of, I don't remember what year this was. Let's see, 2012 is when this came out. So this was a really great read. And again, like, I think, like we end up saying more often than not, is it's these kind of books why it's so important to dig through back issue bins and dig through 50 cent and dollar bins and give something a try. Like, this was so great. The frustrating part of it is when you do find something like this and you can't find the rest of the issues, but that's also kind of part of the fun. The hunt is part of the fun for me anyway. I know it's not for everybody, but I love the hunt of things. But this was a stellar book in a box that was chock full of amazing stuff. That one just spoke to me. That cover really just spoke to me right off the bat.
How many issues this Sparrow and Crow is?
I think it was a 4-issue miniseries, and then Hermes Press had issue number 1 and 2 available.
Yeah, that's what I found online on eBay. 1 and 2 issues.
Yeah, so I think that all 4 got published. But maybe, like, that's the other thing. I guess it's possible that they didn't get published. The page isn't loading for me, but anyway, so that's kind of the word out there. Let me see. Let's see. I think they had a site. Yeah. So sparrowandcrow.com, all one word, Sparrow and Crow. Here we go. It is available digitally. So let's share that screen.
So it's a recent work, or has it been since what?
Sorry, say that again.
Was it published recently, this book, or?
No, 2012 is when that first issue came out. So it's on Comixology. Here you go. So read all 5 issues plus the Halloween special today. So there you go. So it's 5 issues plus a Halloween special. So there's
Comixology doesn't exist anymore, by the way, Terrence.
That's right. Yeah, Hermes Press is no more. But it's cool. So then you can click on the audio, and it's the audio series here and talking about it. Wormwood website, I guess. So yeah, it's cool that stuff is out there. So I don't have Comixology, so I may try to see if I can find it digitally in another forum.
So talking about digital, there's this new services from New Zealand, from all places, called Veve, Veve, and they basically selling digital comics, the new releases, blah blah blah, whatever. So that's which I was like, because it's not like when you delve into digital comic books world, because Comixology doesn't exist anymore because of Amazon taking over, blah blah blah. It's called Kindle. Then Kindle, they canceled Kindle. Now everybody's uproar because they digital format books aren't working anymore. What you had, because they're trying to basically fleece you. You know, that's what happens with the digital media. When you think you buy an item digitally, it's supposed to be yours, but suddenly, oh God, no, not really, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the company you bought it from, and you spend nice money, and that's why still prefer this items, which I'm just spoiled, but anyway, doesn't matter.
Hmm.
So I prefer physical media still to the comics, but
Yeah,
of course it's
absolutely.
helpful for me, especially if I wanted to get, if I don't have the mood of comic books, digital comic books before, let's say, sleep. It's one that works for me. It gets me more excited again. But yeah, so this new service from New Zealand called There is the ones they are selling digital comics as well. So
Yep.
just to point that out for people, maybe they want to go and delve into it and find out a bit more for themselves. But I looked at the price tags, like $5 for a Batman.
Yeah.
The Batman 158. Did you hear about this? Like happiness of Hush 2 storyline?
No, I did not know.
I've not seen it in the comic book shop. It should have been plastered everywhere. Like
I'm
they
sure I did, but honestly, Batman shit I mostly just I don't even really look at, to be totally honest.
Jim Lee's drawing that one. Did you
Ah, I
know?
see. Yeah.
That's why people
I've
are.
heard of that guy.
Yeah. Did you hear about Jim Lee? Anyway, so 158 issue of Batman, but it's a Hush 2 storyline.
Okay.
Which kind of, I'm probably gonna jump on that. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me.
Hmm.
Jim Lee's kind of like one thing I probably would. We'll see if I have any spears. Let's say on my pull, because
Hmm.
there's some gaps going on there. But they even come out with the giant format, so that oversized. It
Oh
looks
yeah.
like
Then I did. Then I did see that behind the counter at the shop today. I saw some giant Batman thing, but I didn't really pay too much attention. Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go. So
yeah.
that's a Hush 2 storyline.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Sean, if you're still here, have you picked it up? Will you? Because I know you're a big Batman fan.
Hmm.
Would be interesting to see if you have any opinions about that. Did you know about it? Will you be interested on it? Because I know Jim Lee's on Batman is quite sought after. People are kind of get excited about his work in general. I really liked it as well. Whatever I looked of Jim Lee's work, to be honest, on Batman, I think it's quite pretty. His artwork worked for DC. But anyway, so I don't know why I mentioned that. Oh, digital
So
comics.
I
Yeah.
realized because you're about to show Conundrum Press. Conundrum Press is Canadian, not
Yes,
UK. I was confusing names. So Conundrum is Canadian.
because I was looking at the back. I didn't correct you. Oh, was
Yeah,
pre-ordered for 100. Oh, I won't be getting it for that.
400,000 copies.
Oh, so you wait until it got this. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Sean. That's why I needed to talk to you, because now I'm definitely
Hmm.
not going to get it because there's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. It was sold out, though.
Oh,
Apparently,
really?
in some comic book shops, they ordered like a hello, but print A, the original cover, which I usually go
Hmm.
for. They go quite quickly because it's Hush storyline generally is quite it's always had been popular. They
Popular
even
one. Yeah.
even DC, before they came out with the Hush 2, they came up with facsimile editions as well from the previous
Mm-hmm.
Hush story, original Hush story.
Mm-hmm.
So they even do facsimile treatment for that series. So they
Mm-hmm.
are very popular. The covers are very popular. All that, like whatever 600 something issues till something. They're very popular. I don't remember the numbers. I remember when I was starting reading comic books, because I'm a partial to Batman, because I didn't know any better in that time while I was starting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. It's not like
So
I'm adverse to Batman, but yeah, I
no, I know
just
you're not, because I know you pick up quite a few Batman stuff more than
yeah.
I do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that the Hush I read story, the in trade paperback from library, and
Hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. So it was really cool. But yeah, so now they doing the Hush 2, which I was very surprised by, because I don't do previews, so I was not aware.
Don't care if nobody else likes it. Hush is my favorite Batman story
Oh, there you
ever.
go.
I know objectively it's not the best, but it got me back into comics, so it means a lot to me. Yeah, and that kind of stuff can have that effect.
Exactly.
Something gets you back into it, or it's your
Yeah, it
first
makes it more
exposure.
special.
That can
Yeah.
stick with you a different way for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, before we talk another comics, no,
Oh yeah.
go away. How many comics you have left to talk about?
Um,
Because I only have two
I
left.
mean, I could talk for a while.
Okay, so you do
I'm
half
not a
of
number.
that stack.
I won't go too crazy. What's that? Sorry.
No, go talk about it. It's fine. But
Well, not there's a bunch that I don't have too much to say. Yeah, sure. I'll fire.
because
So I have a
yeah,
stack of free
free comics.
comic book day ones that I can talk
Huh?
about. These were ones that came in the box as well too, but there's not too much to say about them. I'll fire through them.
What do you mean? How do you get free comic book day books already?
because this is from the package from Nate, so this is stuff that he was picking up for me.
Oh,
So when
I
he
got
sent me photos,
confused. It's like, it's not May.
these are
Yeah.
old. Yeah, no, these are old. These are old.
Okay.
So I don't know if Gore Vidal is around these days, but there
That's
was at one
possible.
time a free comic book day that was Joss Whedon universe. There
Okay.
was 2 Buffy stories in here, but obviously, you know the reason why I wanted this one. There's a Firefly in here, and the thing that's both amazing and frustrating about the Firefly one is that one of my biggest complaints, even though I get all of the Firefly stuff, there's been time and time again where the art isn't maybe my favorite. So this one is illustrated by Ethan Young. It's unbelievable. It's really great. And it's like, motherfuckers, why didn't you have him continue on the art for the series? Not that the art in this era of Firefly was necessarily bad, but I really like the way this looks. And it's sort of an introduction to a character that plays a big part in the Firefly comics universe. Boss Moon is her name. So this is kind of the first appearance of Boss Moon, I think. I don't really know. But it was cool. It's such a great idea to give like a little sample of the stories, just to try to, you know, wet your whistle with the other series. I read the Buffy ones too. I've never been a huge kind of Buffy fan.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah,
How
I know.
you
I know
dare.
there's a lot of people that love it, but it's just not something that I ever deeply got into. Like I said, Firefly was the one for me, but these were still entertaining stories. The one that kind of caught my attention the most was this 3rd story where it's sort of a prequel to when she first meets this one with the red hair and this dude whose names I don't remember. Willow, I think her name is, right?
Yes,
Willow and something else.
And Xander.
Xander, that's right. Yes, Xander, I should remember because that's Jaden's brother's name.
Oh,
so this one is kind of cool. So it's a prequel. So she's working in this kind of fast food joint. She goes outside for a break and sees a vampire and dispatches it and meets Xander and Willow for the first time. So a nice little kind of moment before she walks back inside, and we get the Buffy the Vampire Slayer #1 is in comic stores now. So the free comic book day is great for that kind of stuff. Really, really good. Yes, Sean Reyes, we need more Firefly. The lack of Firefly is harsh. As harsh in my calm, as Mal would say. Yeah, I love Firefly. We just watched it again. Dan Mora on art. Let's have a look at the credits. Good catch there, Sean. I should, because it has all the listings in the inside there. I can't read it backwards, but I believe you're right. I think that says Dan Mora at the bottom there.
Yes, it does. I think I can't.
So there you go. Good catch there, Sean. Dan Mora doing art, and then written by Jordi Belair for the 2 Buffy stories there. So there you go. So that was fun. The one that kind of caught my attention the most, though, out of this stack was this one, the contemporary Korean comics manhwa. So this is put out by Drawn and Quarterly. And again, I believe they sample 4 different stories in this one. Man, oh man, each and every single one of these, well, I'd say 3 out of 4 especially, really, really caught my attention.
Which ones?
Talking about kind of how they came across some of these, talking about translation. They talk to the translator and she discusses kind of the difficulty with translating Korean into comics. They have a listing of kind of the Korean comics that they currently are putting out. And then they give you a sample from the first book is called Moms. And it's this story of this older woman who's kind of on social media, seeing her friends enjoying life. And something kind of sets her off. Stop calling my man, as she's getting these comments from this woman. So again, because these are kind of snippets from the book, there's a lot of context missing, but it culminates in them kind of meeting face to face and beating the shit out of each other. And they're just really nicely drawn scenes here. Like, I love the use of the black background, and I love this page here where they're kind of cutting through the panel borders to attack each other. I think is really, really nicely done. So that one caught my attention right away. And then this next story is Bad Friends. And it's these 2, I think, underage girls who are trying to get into some sort of like sex club or something to make some money. One of their friends works there, and they're waiting out in the back alley to get snuck in the back door so they can kind of be on the roster to go and party with these rich men. They get found out though that they're underage and get kicked out, but just really intriguing. I really like the art style in this one, really stood out to me. So that one is one that I want to look for as well. And then the final story was called Grass. The third story was this one here. I wasn't too crazy. This is the one that kind of appealed to me the least.
Mm-hmm.
Called Uma's Table. I just wasn't super keen on the kind of the style on it. There was nothing really that kind of captured my interest with this one. So, but Grass was another really nice one, and a little more kind of, you know, gestural, I guess, or abstract to some degree on this. And it's Koreans that are in this prison camp, this Japanese prison camp. And I think it's probably a pretty harrowing story from the little snippet they talk about at the beginning. But man, oh man, what a good kind of glimpse of the style. I think that's the thing that impressed me the most about this was the 4 different stories, even though they're all Korean creators. Obviously everybody has a different style to some degree. I think when I think of like manga, especially, more often than not, you're getting very similar styles. It was impressive to have a look at these samples and see just dramatically different styles of art from story to story. So really, really well done little collection from Drawn and Quarterly. I don't remember what year this was. I'm sure it says somewhere, but nowhere that I'm going to be able to find. But anyway, so that was a really nice one. I won't open this one up, but another one from Drawn and Quarterly, Shigeru Mizuki's Showa History of Japan. Pretty interesting as well. This is one that's been on my want list for a while from Drawn and Quarterly. It's good to get a sample. It's kind of maybe now lowered a little bit on my want list because it was interesting, but this one caught my attention way more than Showa. So I think this one will kind of maybe wait if I can find it for cheap somewhere, possibly. It was a neat mix of kind of historical fiction and kind of this dramatized manga comic, and the styles were really like very much detailed panels when they're talking about historical moments, but the characters themselves that were overlaid were very, very kind of rudimentary manga kind of characters. I like that contrast quite a bit, but the story itself didn't seem to have too much right out of the gate. Obviously with a sample, who the hell knows, but and then of course the one that of course I was going to enjoy was the Jim Woodring sample, Weathercraft. So this was the first, I believe,
why
the
they're so
first
good?
standalone. Sorry, what?
Your free comic book days are very lovely. Which years were they producing? Because lately the free comic book days are sucky.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine these are quite a few years ago. That first one, I think, was mid 2010s, 2015-ish kind of thing. I don't know when this one was. This was probably quite a while ago as well.
Say it to you,
But
no?
again, same thing. Like such a good sampler. I have most of the stuff, but it's Jim Woodring. So I mean, why the hell wouldn't I want more of it? It's always great to have more. As far as I'm concerned, you can't have enough. And then it advertises the Weathercraft book, Frank, and then his art book, which is Seeing Things there. So super, super cool. There's some write-ups on the characters as well too that Woodring gets. So Weathercraft is basically, it's not the character Frank, it's this character Manhog, who's the main character of the movie, and he kind of tears through the fabric of his reality to kind of engage with an alternate reality. Just amazing, of course. And then meet the cast. So we get Jim talking about the characters and sort of their backstory a little bit. Manhog, Wim, Frank, Pupshaw, Pushpaw, and then there's these characters here that are called Betty and Veronica, which is pretty great. So yeah, super, super cool stuff. So I mean, it's so great getting care packages, but this one was really chock full of good shit.
So can you give him my address just in case he's
Yeah.
feeling to be generous?
Yeah. I'll pass on your address. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, it's gonna have to cross a little bit more of the ponds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
It's a bit big pond between two of us at the moment, but
it's true.
what's the pond between two? It's just a.
Yeah, totally.
I was watching a video. I was like, I shouldn't watch that. I'm feeling a bit more jealous when I should, because it's just like, oh, that's nice, that's lovely.
It was so
But
good. I mean, that's the beauty of having access to all those bins, right? Because I mean, he
yes,
showed me photos of the bins that he was digging through, because he would go like on a weekly basis. He would go back and just dig through one box, because he really just took his time to make sure. And also for himself, obviously, he bought himself a shit ton of stuff too.
yes,
But it's just that having that available to you. I think it was a place close by where he works, I think he was saying. So the ability to kind of dig through those boxes and have it so cheap and have so many of them, it was like, even showing me the photos, I was envious as all hell. It looked incredible. Like when the kayfabe guys used to show that place that they went to, that was the basement, that was row after row after row after row of long boxes. It's like, oh my God, that's a little piece of heaven right there.
Yeah. So Nate, the
Yeah,
secret
Nate.
Santa of the secret Santas. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. My benefactor, single-handedly keeping the channel alive
Well,
with
especially
content.
you like variety, which is really does help to pick. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you keep on saying to all the time on your videos, if you people will not aware of, but you always say
yeah,
like, just go to your bins and find something. It's like,
yeah, man.
but I have that little nagging voice in my head. It's like, like that, and then
Mhm.
I never give a chance. I'm a bit more now because I'm exploring all
For
this
sure.
new presses, and of course your word of mouth is always in my head sometimes, like, oh, he's spoke about it, oh, maybe I should just have a look, if I do.
Hmm.
But it doesn't happen as often for me, unfortunately,
No, for
anymore,
sure.
because like I choose not to, also because that would be very not very beneficial for my pocket whatsoever. But it's
Well,
like,
and the thing, and the reason, like, I say it so much is because one of the things that, like, a pet peeve is hearing comic fans saying there's nothing good anymore. Shut the fuck
oof,
up.
yeah, no,
You're out of your goddamn mind. You're
yes,
out of your fucking mind.
absolutely,
We've
yeah,
got
yeah,
how many decades of comics out there, and there's
exactly.
nothing good anymore?
No,
Shut the
exactly.
fuck up. That's mental. That's a mental thing to say. I guarantee you're going to find something. I guarantee it. It may be difficult, but it's, again, for me, part of the fun is digging. I could spend, when I was big into record collecting, same thing. I could spend fucking days digging through long boxes. We went to a convention yesterday. We had a union meeting. It ended. We went to the convention. I got there 15 minutes left to spare. My wife, being the amazing woman that she is, because there was about 50 long boxes that were all dollar bins.
Oh
So I
boy.
wanted to see what
So
was
you
in
want
there. So she started on one end, I started on the other. So every once in a while, she'd come over with some books like, these ones look like you might be into them. What do you think of this? She actually found a couple, which was pretty amazing. But I'm like, man, you are wifey material. That's amazing. So she was kind of helping me out digging through these bins. Most of the bins, unfortunately, it was chock full of like Marvel and DC.
Ugh,
Again, when I go through cheap bins, I want to look for other stuff. I want to find
yeah.
the stuff that nobody wants. So the ones that were sectioned off that weren't in bags and boards, I kind of went for those ones first, because I figured if they haven't taken time to bag and board them, they must think it's junk. So maybe it's going to be something that'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
I did the
There
same.
wasn't too much in there, but it was fun. We did make it, and I saw some people that I haven't seen for a while, so that was pretty nice.
The world of comics is such a, it's like its own universe. If you
Hmm.
just, like if you just want to delve into some stuff, you don't realize what is there or what used to be there.
Hmm.
What's there used to be on their shelves, and you're like, shit. And some of the stuff which you most of the time enjoy, and it's not cheapest anymore, because
Hmm.
they have already those people you've been talking about all the time, like, go and look for it, and they realize the value of that, and it becomes much more pricier. But also there's so much more, like it's just ridiculous. There's so many
Yeah.
like publishers, like these days now we have so many publishers which we barely can scratch
So
because of,
many.
yeah, and we can't really, because I mean, if you have like crazy pockets, then yes, lucky you can just go in and just pick whatever, and then if the price tag at the end of the bill doesn't matter to you, then hey, okay, you're still supporting comic books, great. But the bins are well forgotten, and I'm praising all the time the library, because honestly, if I don't have library around me, my comic books would have been quite shitty, to be honest, what
Yeah,
I like,
right.
because I'm not expanding myself. I don't expose myself to the comic book shop because I don't
Hmm.
have any around. There is some, don't get me wrong, but I'm not willing, because I've been there before. I don't vibe with the people in there. So it
Hmm.
kind of drags me away from there, because I'm more picky now when it comes, because I know what I like and I know the
Yep.
prices I like to pay. And if I
Yeah.
don't see
Yeah.
that, and if I have a conversation with the person, whoever is working that time, and he's giving me some weird vibes, you're not going to be me. I'm not going to be your customer, because
Yeah.
I don't want to spend that much time in the car just to drive to this shitty comic bookstore just for me to
Hmm.
wonder to see what's coming out. So, like that's kind of my gateway to comic books in another expanding world is library, thankfully.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. Sean says there are gems from dozens of publishers with dozens of titles, each we've never heard of, and even from the ones we have, comics are awesome. Yeah, I agree. Because again, said it before about Dark Horse.
Preachy,
All those
preachy.
years of Dark Horse, man, there's still stuff I've never heard of.
Oof,
So great.
yes. So many, and so many good.
Comics are awesome.
Yes, they are. Okay. So thanks.
Speaking of which,
So conundrum. I have a Stanley Waney.
ooh,
Helen?
look at that cover.
Helen? Hey, Helen? How you say it? Say it.
I guess, yeah, Helem or something, or Helem, yeah.
So this actually is Nova Scotia work, Canada
Beautiful.
Council of Arts. It's like really, or you can't really probably see it anyway. It says Quebec is printed. This book is Conundrum
Yes.
Comics. So I had to tread really lightly with this book. I haven't really I had to skip in some places the beautiful art in here. So if you felt like that straits were beautiful art, wait until I show you this. Um, it's beautiful. It's once again black and white, but the subject matter this person is taking into is not something my head can take really lightly.
Mm,
The first one is talking about suicide.
hmm.
It's wordless, thankfully, so I don't have to get into that much going on in there, so it helps. But the way he's expressing the panels are you well aware the ordeal. So
Oof.
the person has sister to suicide, and that's with depiction of the person's uh, way of dealing with situation they are placed into, and also with aftermaths of that, and how your brain and yourself has to be okay with that information and how you deal with it. It's absolutely goddamn beautiful. Honestly, it's extremely lovely to
It's
watch.
a stunner.
It is really good. Uh, every panel, it gives you more. It's very emotional. He's portraying emotions extremely well, in my opinion. He shows you different takes how he draws things. His backgrounds and buildings are stunning. He seems to be really well established artist, or knows himself really well when it comes to expressing themselves in the piece of paper.
Hmm.
And by itself, it's, as I say, it really helps for you not to have any speech bubbles, because of, I think, knowing the subject matter he's trying to portray. It's really difficult in generally to digest for people whoever it's knows about suicide or experienced somebody else's to do that, or in general depression. So as I say, I have that tendency, so I have to tread really lightly when it comes to this. But I'm looking at it as a piece of work, which I absolutely love. I mean, come on, man,
Hmm.
it's stunning. Everything. This cat gets, like he goes a little bit crazy the way the cat looks and all that stuff. Absolutely stunning. So there's just two stories. One is about the suicide. The girl sister dies, and then whatever she goes through it with emotions. And another story is also, this is my favorite panel, by the way. Can you see?
I can, yeah.
It's I love the clouds and it's just really beautiful.
Hmm.
And of course, if you're Doctor Strange fan, you know this all about,
Yeah.
which is actually really works for me. Um, Really fantastic. And another story is about the guy who's been working in call center for 10 years and is questioning what he's really is this what he just realizing, like, you know, when you work in some one place for a really long time, you get used to the routine, you get used to your check being the same, you're used to all doing all that stuff, and you realize where you're at, and it doesn't make you happy, kind of thing. So two stories, but this one in particular story is being like, I mean, god damn it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's free, and every page I will turn, honestly, I could spend hours just, you know, like showing you this to you. And every page I love, like, look at this shit, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I cannot,
Really is.
I'm honestly, it's like something I wouldn't probably look maybe in the bookshelves, because it's a tiny little book. It's a beautiful cover though. But when I actually looked it up, and it's like, because I saw different publishers, I really like the label. The publisher label has this guy floating, like coming up to into air from the dive. It's really beautiful.
Hmm.
So it's Conundrum Press, Canadian press as well. So yeah, so it's amazing to look at. Oh, and I'll show you the next story about the guy realizing that he's working in a call center for 10 years, and he's having this conversation. Oh, this is how he ends the story, by the way. It's, it's beautiful. I honestly. Um, oh, look, double page.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is another story, and there's speech bubbles, and they talk. And I honestly, because from the previous story was speechless, I kind of preferred this one wouldn't be happening. I didn't really wanted to read much because I just wanted to look at the art, and I got kind of like distracted by the art more than the things, and I kind of got the gist of it afterwards as well, because I really like the way he's expressing himself in this 4-panel grid. It really works. Not always he does that. He tends to, but most of the pages are 4-panel grids in throughout the book, which is helps as a graphic, like, you know, like representing of your work. You know,
Hmm.
like there's no jumping too much into things. Like,
Sets a steady pace for sure. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But his light usage is really works expressionally. Those black and you know, he doesn't go muddied up with the colors of the shadows, for example, so it doesn't feel too much of like you can't make up of what this person's trying to say in this like small little square kind of thing. Like, for example, in this here, you know, he's walking around, it looks like crazy about, but honestly, when you look at it in page by page, yourself flipping through pages, it just speaks volumes, honestly. So I cannot you have to go and see it for yourself, because I think you would appreciate even more of this work. What this person, look at that, man. I mean,
Hmm.
come on. The strength of this artist is I could say jealous. I would be jealous, because able to use the black and whites for your own advantage to tell, like, pure and simple, beautifully expressed himself. So yeah, really cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Some Michael Zulli as well too, and yeah, really
look at that.
comes from a certain uh world for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and basically, let's see how he ends it. Oh yeah, he ends it in the same fashion he started the story beforehand. In that,
Hmm.
where everything ends, kind of thing. So yeah,
I mean, maybe I got to do a order to Conundrum Press, that adherent, and then this one as well. And again, as you've been talking to, just looking through the
I
Conundrum Press website.
I
Yeah,
mean,
man,
come
it's
on,
so
man.
great. It's really nice. I like it.
Absolutely. As I say, it's 2021. This production book is. It says
Hmm.
2021 on it. Uh, Speechless, as I say. I mean, I just can't. You know, like flipping. I didn't show you one of it. It's just beautiful to look at. I mean, come on, man. Double page spread.
Hmm.
Shay the Changing Man would be lucky title to
Hmm.
have a person like that, for example.
Hmm.
because it's just he's expressing himself really well, and he has this ability to draw all sorts of things. And anyway, so it's
Looks like he won an award,
oh, there you go.
Doug
No
Wright
wonder.
Award
No
in
wonder.
2016 at the Toronto Comics and Arts Festival.
Mhm.
He's founded 2 independent publication companies, Trip Comics and Argle Bargle Books.
Go Pogo.
Yeah, he's been around. He's done some stuff, which is great. It's just such a striking cover. It really, really stands out.
Yeah. So there you go. Another gems. Sometimes it happens with my library, honestly, but I always go for those like self-made hero. Always surprising me with the variety, and all of them I have attempted to find and read. I always liked it. I felt like it's well edited as well. I think it just works really well. I mean, there's some questions marks, like it depends what your expression, but they are very emotional books. Or both that Stray and this. The Helen is really emotional. Honestly, when I was doing that, the first one, and I was like, oh my god. So because self-discovery, understanding where you like that kind of stuff is just like, oh, too much emotion. I want to be happy. Like comic book sometimes needs to be goofy because that's what you need in that moment. But also comics can delve into emotions to a level of such extreme where like, do you really like sometimes you don't really want to because of your emotions right now. And I'm kind of like I sponge everything in quite a lot, like I absorb a lot of emotions and I don't know when to let go afterwards, so I need something like release to help me to do that kind of thing. So yeah, but it's always kind of intriguing when, thankfully, as I say, I have a library, like finding those kind of books. Sometimes it doesn't
Yeah,
happen,
totally.
like, but when it does, it's really a win for me because it gives you inspiration also because it's such artsy books. I have another
Yeah,
one more
sure.
book which I haven't finished yet, but
That you haven't finished yet?
yeah, I haven't finished reading it. I just got a hold of it today, and
Okay.
it's a Jeff Jones world with Gary Frank.
Oh,
It's
Junkyard Joe. Okay.
it's that what they call Mad Ghost world they part of. So he's writing like 4 or 5 titles of this, and Junkyard Joe is one of them. Which I kind of, because of the series Creature Commandos came out, they had that robot guy, kind of reminded me of them because it's a robot soldier, and he's coming on Mad Ghost. It would be on the title of each comic book. It's the yeah, Gary Frank. Yeah, you definitely would love it because I know the Gary Frank done a lot of DC work as well. So I read like 2 issues worth of material. I think collect, maybe it's less. Um, it's the first trade came out of the collects first 6 issues of Jackie and Joe, so it's already quite a few. It's one of the things, like I saw so many things coming out. Jeff Jones, I like his writing because he's the writer of Green Lantern, which universe, which is what I really enjoyed reading. When the Green Lantern stuff, I always even try to collect a lot of Green Lantern. Of course, they have 4 omnibus worth of material Jeff Jones worked in for DC. That universe is expanded quite exponentially, and he's like big things. But that's his own now universe he's creating, and it's published by Image Comic Books, as you can clearly see. And he has his own, I guess, imprint
Adult.
now. What it happens with Image Comic Books now, lots of writers has their own imprints, like
Giant Generator.
yeah, exactly, by Rick Remender.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so this is one of I it just appealed this. I looked to library. I had to like basically ask them to send it to my library in order to get it. So I had to pay up to get this book because it's quite popular series now, so everybody wants it. So this is about, so far I have a gist of it. So in 1970s, when 1972, when the Vietnam War happened and American soldiers were placed in Vietnam to do the work, Mr. What is his name? I don't know. Now I need to see his face to remember. The president, the president in that
President
time.
Douche.
Yeah, one of those douches. Sorry for saying that. What is his name? Come on, show me your face. Oh, there you go. This dude. What is it?
Nixon.
There you go. So in Nixon era
I prefer
time, when the
President
Vietnam War
Douche, though. I
happened.
think we should just call him President Douche.
Anyway, so the soldiers were doing the deed, and suddenly a robot appears out of blue by a government body, deciding them that they need this like an experiment. He appears like a human, first of all. This is how he appears. And everybody's like talking to him, being nice, like talking about their lives, and he's not replying and just looks like so rigid and blah blah blah. And everybody's like thinking, don't worry, we don't need to know your backstory. Just come into, help us to with war. And the gruesome thing started, like the killing, and that's how he appears. Like the cats in the shadow, the eyes shine. So his eyes did that, and he went crazy protecting them. He killed like lots of people. Oh, he actually jumped in front of the exploding bomb, and the only thing, and then their faces, you can see the soldiers like, what the hell is going on? What's wrong with him? And then they realizing, to their surprise, da 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 da, he's a robot. And they go freak out, like they proper freak out. But there's like the guy in charge who's like screaming his head off, a typical guy in charge in the army screaming his head off, like, move out, douchebags, we're gonna die in here otherwise, like kind of thing. And they have this conversation. They try to make him part of the team, and continuously this robot doesn't have the conversation. But then we have this guy who we're concentrating on big time, because he is a comic book artist who will be very famous after, when he comes back from the war, creating the story of Junkyard Joe by Maury Muddy Davis. He has like very much like Schultz artwork style, like Peanuts. Anyway, and then so he's the guy, basically the main kind of subject at the moment. Whereas I understand. And jumping forward, things happened. A lot of deaths. Once again, it's war. What else to expect? A lot of murdering of his friends. And the robot saves the guy because he's the one who approached the robot. He's the one who made him be part of the team. He's the one made him like feel like something there. And because of that conversation, his circuitries went a little bit cuckoo, and he wasn't listening to the douche in charge, which was hilarious, to be honest. Because they say, like, what do they say? Unit Beta finished its analysis of the war, Mr. President, and it shut down. It shut down? What the hell does that mean? It means this war is unwinnable. We need to end it, Mr. President. Prepare 8-point pre-span, Henry. Notify the President. One Blue. America is leaving Vietnam because of him, basically. The war has... And what they're doing is, because they inserted that robot, they told, because they got, like bamboozled, most of his friends died, and this guy, the cartoonist, is alive. But while he's in the hospital, the guy approaches him and tells him, whatever you saw, it never existed. You don't know anything. The robot never been there. It's your imagination. Don't you understand? It's a war. There's a lot of murder. Your head is crazy. Forget about it. Otherwise, I'll blue tag you. And apparently, if you blue tag them, they're going to probably kill them or something. Dispose of them, basically. So he completely forgets about it. And we go today to the present time. And then, surprise, surprise, present time is aging, is this famous cartoonist, but he's retiring. He's retiring because his wife has passed away. It seems to be his plan, what he was telling in the beginning of the story, where he's going to have family, kids. I don't think that happened. It didn't feel like it happens to him. And the new neighbors comes into the place where he lives. He's kind of secretive. He doesn't really want to be known to be in the limelight anymore. And so, spoiler alert, it happens like this. Da 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 da. His robot buddies come back. Why? I don't know. I have not finished reading this 6th issue yet. Does it explain? Really well told. It's really well written. There's lots of action happening. There's intrigue for me. The mystery part. The family's there. Are they spies? The first thing I always think about: new neighbors, spies. as the dad. And at the beginning, he shows to them like, so they hello, say hello, like this is nonchalant conversation. In my head, I have a conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
So this,
right.
I thought honestly there was this like husband and wife and 2 kids, but apparently it's just a husband and 3 kids because they his wife is also passed away. But that's why I was like, still spies. So but it's my conspiracy theories head, like
Yeah,
always
yeah.
conspiracy somewhere. But honestly, it's really well written. It flows. The book flows. No wonder a lot of people praising this universe, Mad World. I think he's touching the Civil War era. I think I don't remember the name of the title, but I think even Damon speaks about it quite like a lot when he manages to read those series, and he's find it really good. Not everything. There's another one. It's the Radioactive Man. I think is another title. I think he's written it. Jeff
Okay.
Johns written it before, and I think that's how he's rehashing this universe, and now it's becoming kind of this like crazy world of his. But yeah, so far it's intriguing that my conspiracy theorist head is maybe making it better what it is, but that's how I see it so far, and I actually enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to reading it, the end of it. But yeah, but it's like he's been talking about the real people. Apparently, he has an extra material and the pictures of real life people. So Sergeant Richard
Yeah, right.
Etta, Alfred Edward Ford, and Margaret Ford, Nee Jenkins. So it's interesting. Gary Frank. Also, look, all a bunch of soldiers and veterans dedicate. Oh, it's dedicating veterans to people who is usually gets forgotten because they at war. They shouldn't be part of most of the time. Anyway. Oh yeah. And lots of beautiful covers apparently at the back.
Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah.
Gary Frank's is most of the covers on. Oh no, German Peralta, Gary Frank and Brent Anderson, Tony Daniel, which if you're a DC fan. Oscar Jimenez. Oh, Oscar Jimenez art is nice. Like Oscar Jimenez. That's this cover. Then Bart Sears and Brad Anderson's cover here. Almost reminds me of the Piazza. Is that TV show or comic? Richard. Who's Richard Stott? Richard Stott.
No idea.
Oh, no idea. Maybe New Blood. New Blood. Oh, Gabriel Rodriguez and Brett Anderson. That's beautiful. And look, Spawn. Spawn is everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, now listen. Did you hear? Okay, you can dismiss me.
Yeah.
Did you know that Spawn is getting into a Invincible universe?
No, I didn't. I did hear that the Spawn comics are going up in price, though.
Oh yeah, because it's gone nuts. This so McFarlane didn't win, by the way. The company, some sort of
Diamond
company.
or whatever. Yeah,
Diamond. Some big company. I don't have a clue. I never heard of the company. Starts with A, has won the bid. I don't know who they are. As I say, probably it's very kind of American company. As I say, I've never heard of it. So that's the ones who cover Diamonds, whatever that means. But McFarlane is, Spawn is going to be Invincible universe, and the guy the artist, I forgot his name. Now he is very excited because he's coming out with a extra series now. It's called Battle Beast, like the lion main guy, which I read all the. Do you remember? We were even talking that time.
I do. Yeah.
I was praising Invincible Universe a lot because it's like really bloody and completely crazy, but it's really well written. But now that Spawn is going to get the hands in there because already they're advertising that Spawn is going to be part of Invincible Universe. It's kind of intriguing. I mean, I'm into Spawn because I read Simon Twitch.
Yeah.
Because that's basically keep me interested in Spawn, even though I have not read any of Spawn, which I have a chunk, which I took it out, which I'm forgetting about, which I'm gonna go back into it, and I'm debating whether should I pick up that Invincible Universe new.
I mean, you probably got to at least try it out, right?
Like, yeah, because I've read it all, so I know exactly where they ended. so I should maybe go, but probably I am. It's already thinking. I looked it up. I at the first I was like dismissing it somehow, but then because I didn't realize who the character is until when you like clearly look and you're like, oh, maybe I should just go because it's coming out, I think this week or next week. I think
Okay.
April,
Yeah.
maybe April is the release date anyway. So yeah, so it's kind of interesting. The Spawn is like it's getting Spawn people excited about the Spawn, which is fantastic. I mean, he's been writing and being part of that guy Spawn so long. It's amazing that he's finding more people coming into it because all these reprinted collected editions are selling out. His work of figure work is amazing. He's coming out with a new. Actually, he's gonna do a figure where Tom King has drawn. What is that name? Is the guy in the space? Adam what?
Adam Strange.
Yes, he's coming out with Adam Strange figure. Could you believe?
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of intriguing in itself that they actually were going to do that because the Tom King has done that. You know, people are talking about. I'm not sure if they enjoy it.
That's Strange Adventures or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, Strange Adventures. So yeah, he's doing that figure. I saw it. Actually, looks really good. The face looks kind of like almost the same, to be honest. So that's intriguing by itself. But yeah, I was just about to mention you about that Spawn. Thankfully, I remembered. But yeah, it's kind of few things going on this year. Eh? It's more comics to read and more money to spend, which I don't have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's always something for sure. Yeah, they're not all of a sudden going to go away overnight. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So it's intriguing, but it's funny. I need to talk to my comic book guy because apparently, so I remember I told you about my comic book having really issues with Image comic books being delivered promptly.
Yeah.
And apparently it's not him only in here in UK. I was watching YouTube video of some person going to comic book shop and they cross Niagara Falls, that area, to Canada because guess what? Which I didn't really know the fact. A lot of comic books is printed in Canada as well in single format.
Yeah.
Which you told me, but you know, like you blank that over and you always think that.
Yeah.
And they're saying that the because of this tariff nonsense, is they having issues to have a proper provider now who is getting in and out. And I guess apparently they're going to America and then again shipping into across the pond, I presume. Which I won't talk about the comic book guy. It's just curious to see what's happening in there. And he's hoping that it's going to be sorted, but apparently one of the distributors having bad delays get stuck in some places.
The delays are nuts, man. I checked in at 2:04 today because the newest Corbin book is at the bookstore. So I'm like, great, maybe it's at the comic shop because I pre-ordered it through there. They didn't have it in, so I just checked with them. I'm like, hey, listen, are you going to get it? Like, yeah, it says it's still on order. I'm like, okay, because I've seen it at the bookstore. Like, well, I mean, they kind of chuckled and like, I mean, you can pick it up there if you want. I'm like, no, I don't want to like jam you guys up because then you guys are stuck with this book, right? Like I ordered it through you. I want to support you, but I need to know if it's going to come in because if it doesn't, I also don't want to miss out on it. Because with this Corbin stuff, once it's gone, I don't know how easy it's going to be able to get a hand on, right? So, but it's just these delays are just causing, because I mean, those delays then end up costing shops money, right? Because if I do go and buy it somewhere else and then it comes in, I ain't going to buy it twice. You know, I'm not going to spend that money again. So sorry, you guys didn't get it in. I picked it up somewhere else. So it just ends up fucking up the shops too, right? Where they have people sort of relying on this pre-ordering system, because that's the thing. Like when so far I've been mostly lucky, but when it's coming to pre-order stuff, it's always such a hassle at shops, especially for the stuff that I want in. They either don't want to be bothered, or they just, it's not easy for them to access it, or there's delays, or. But it's one of those things that like, fuck, man, it should be way easier than what it is to get stuff. And it's usually the case with like Fantagraphic stuff. That's what they usually have difficulty getting for me, where it's just not as easy for them to access and get that in the shop. They've done it, but I feel like it's a little bit more work on their end to get that stuff. So I hope it comes in with this delay. I hope it comes in next week. I hope it's not like a month delay or something like that, where then its window is passed and they don't even get a copy in, right? So
yeah, because my always Image. So the
Yeah.
past month and a half, I have not been able to read like seasons. So issue 3 came out, yeah,
Hmm.
and it's all available, ready to read. But I don't even I have not seen the issue 2 yet. So imagine delays because of he only not only has the delay, but he also gets them damaged, and he's not going to
Hmm.
sell me damaged book. He keeps
Yeah.
on saying I can't give it to you because I have to return it in order for me to get my money back, in order for them for me to receive the actual book I was ordering without being damaged. And
Like
that's
when
like
he's talking damaged, how damaged? Like, is it like literally like torn up or something, or is it like just a
well,
little ding
you
in the corner
mo
or something?
I think it's quite. Once he told me one didn't have a cover.
Mm,
Thing
hmm.
because the box literally was crumpled apparently or driven
Hmm.
over. So one
Oh
time,
Jesus.
yeah, one time he said to
Okay,
me,
so
"There's."
seriously damaged. Yeah, yeah. All right.
Well, he said one time there was like probably an exception. He said this is the most damage I've ever seen in a box. But
Hmm.
basically, they literally took to his shop the box, which is you can see tire tracks on it. It's like, excuse
Jesus Christ,
me,
dude.
what the why do you think I'm going to take this is not what I'm supposed to, but this is like exception. But he said most of the time there's dings on the boxes, so if they're not delivered properly, he says there's like, like people, they want, like, don't forget we inhabit now near mint conditions when you buy it brand new, yes.
Hmm.
So if it's some people are kind of like, as a customer who's selling comic books, you want them to be shiny without any
Yeah, of
dings,
course.
because
Yeah,
then you have to price down on the books, but you paid the full price for it. Guess what?
yeah.
No. So as far as I understand, he needs to send them back in order to get the money back for the
Hmm.
order, and then plus hope that they will resend them the same thing he
Hmm.
actually originally ordered from. So it's all that kind of. I don't know how he does it, to be honest. I know he has a bunch of friends, which is great for him. But damn, that's kind of annoying because no, it's only one person who's like, and I always nice. I never bitch about it.
Yeah,
I'm not that kind of human. Somebody told me actually, it's funny the other day, I'm too nice. I shouldn't be this
right.
nice. I think way too much about others rather than myself. I guess I'm supposed to be more selfish. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
but I'm always like, okay, don't worry, I'm waiting and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
honestly, with those delays, I always thinking like, do I have to go somewhere else? And I don't want to because I know he
Hmm.
always gives me a better price. Second, he always making
Yep.
sure, and
That's
I've
yep.
been with him decade, more than a
Yep.
decade now. So I have this relationship established who and he understands completely. I don't have to commit to anything. He almost
Hmm.
lets me, if I squeeze the money, he always lets me do whatever. I understand. You can, like you can pay next time, and you don't get that with other people. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
you have like proper relationship established. So yeah,
Well, and I mean, I bought this at the bookstore,
yes.
and it still isn't in at the comic shop, and I've ordered it through my comic shop. So I'm not if it comes in at the comic shop, I ain't gonna buy it because I've already bought it at the bookstore. So I mean, that's the thing, right? Like I do want to support them, and and the thing is through my comic shop, he'll give me deals when I order stuff through because I've got a pull list, so I get a little bit of money off as well. So there's benefits, but it's like the end of the day, I kind of don't want to miss out on some of these things, like the very few things that I don't want to miss out on. Other ones, it's not the end of the world, but there's
Mhm.
stuff that I'm ordering. It's like I'm ordering it for a reason because I really want to make sure I get my hands on it, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes a part of like, I do want to support them, but if I can just go down to, because again, the bookstore that has the Corbin thing, it's a Winnipeg owned Winnipeg bookstore, right? So I'm supporting a local business as well too, and they've got it on the shelf. So it's kind of like, well, I may just go and buy it from them, and then if it comes in the other way, sorry guys, I already picked it up, right? Like I just don't want to miss out on this Corbin library. I've come this far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books so far. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to miss out now. So
Yeah. Well, the thing is about my comic book guy, he always told me from the get-go, don't buy from me trades, graphic novels. Don't
mm,
bother. I can't give you a good price. It's not worth for me. I cannot be as competitive as what you can find
mhm,
online. Okay. And I never do it with him. That makes it more freedom for me when it comes to collected editions, because there's not. I ordered from him like I couldn't find it anywhere else. I called him, said, "You have it?" He said, "Do you realize the price?" It's like, "Yes, I realize it, but I
Mhm.
can't find anywhere else. You're the only one has it. Can I have it?" And then he sends it, and every time it's all great. But he told me, if you want something quick and you want the price for the graphic collected editions, don't buy
Mhm.
from me. And we understand, we have that understanding, and it's beautiful, honestly. So the
Yeah.
only thing I'm coming out for him is comic books in comic format, in the floppies, as you other people calling it. And yeah,
Just to be clear, Sean, this has nothing to do with tariffs. This is diamond distribution
all
generally,
right,
because this has been happening for years. This has nothing to do with tariffs, and
yeah,
they've been a fucking nightmare for comic shops. Ross and I have talked about it many times. Like
yeah,
it's and my comic shop guy specifically. That's why he's now I believe he's fully transitioned away from Diamond to this Canadian distributor, but he's been having issues with orders being late and lost and et cetera for
yeah,
a long time, like well before the tariffs. So the tariffs aren't playing a part in this specific thing we're talking about.
yeah.
And then he's also picturing Hugh Grant driving over your comics while chasing Paddington. That's pretty good. I like that.
It's funny, we had a arrest in the Reading, just a town over Oxford. Not town over, it's a bit more towns over. Anyway, Reading is called, next to London,
Mhm.
about less than 40 minutes away by train, if that any matter for you guys. But
Yeah.
two guys gone on a drinking binge, and Paddington's like a statue of out of metal, is in that town specifically on the bench, and those two douchebags went on drinking bender and dismantled it and stole it. The
Mm,
Paddington statue.
yeah, crazy.
They got sentenced just recently. They were plastered everywhere newspaper just to make sure that people were well aware that
Mhm.
institutional thing like a Paddington cannot be abused. So they got
You will
like
not
proper,
defile Paddington.
yeah, so they got like proper sentence, like quite badly, to be honest, for just doing that. So it's interesting. But yeah, they were, because you know what? Because they are drunk, and there's cameras everywhere in the streets, in the
Yeah,
main public
yeah,
streets. Come on, you douches. You're not gonna get caught.
everywhere.
So yeah,
Yeah,
two douchebags went on,
stupid
they
fucking
think, on
cameras.
drinking, binging,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing. So, and they were showing the clip how they tried to, like, they basically were ripping because it's hollow inside. It's
Uh-huh.
almost like, like, I don't know what you call. I don't know the terminology to clearly state exactly what happened, but yeah, that's talking about Paddington. Yeah,
Hmm.
they completely annihilated that. Kind of stupid, but why would you do that? It's like parked on the
Yeah, you
benches
do stupid
nicely.
shit when you're drunk. I think if they were really hammered, it sounds like, just
Yeah,
stupid drunken behavior.
yeah, but anyway.
Thinking it was funny at the time and not really thinking straight. Yeah.
Yeah, now they have a permanent record on their bloody heads just because
Yeah,
of that
crazy.
drinking
That's
bender.
crazy.
So, anyway, just because you mentioned about Hugh Grant and doing that,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually thought. Wait,
Okay.
last one
Oh yeah, go
mentioned,
ahead. Yep. Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
he mentioned Hugh Grant. I don't know why I'm so, but I watched Dungeons and Dragons movie with Hugh Grant in it,
Okay.
because people were dissing it quite a lot. I'm not into Dungeons and Dragons, first of all. I've never been in that part of the. I never interest me the
Hmm.
deck more. But they made a movie with Star Trek guy. I forgot his name
Yeah, I
now.
remember seeing the trailer. It looked
Yeah,
it looked pretty awful. Yeah.
it looked pretty. Actually, to be honest, it's very entertaining family movie. I
Oh, is
really
it?
liked
Okay.
it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
enjoyed it. It was funny, kind of
Hmm.
tacky in some places, especially there's this giant lady married this tiny little. There's
Uh-huh.
anyway. It was one of the most hilarious things because you don't realize when they show it to the beginning, and then he invites her. Because she goes to this traveling adventure, like what they always do, and they come upon her used to place and her used to husband, and she opens the door. She sits down, and there's this tiny husband sitting in the oversized chair. It's the most hilarious scene I've seen
Hmm.
of that whole movie. But just
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
about it makes me laugh. But Hugh Grant was part of the scene, and he was a baddie,
Mm,
which really, because with his smirky accent, and it was really lovely to watch. To be honest, it's kind
mm,
of very doesn't take itself serious, but for a movie like that, Dungeons and Dragons, it shouldn't have been serious note to it whatsoever. So I watched it. I was having fun.
hmm. Sean's mentioning the tariffs
Oh,
messing up printing books where my publisher is concerned. That makes more sense. Yeah.
yeah.
The diamond situation has been another nightmare. We don't know how books would even be getting to stores. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's other distributors, thankfully. that hopefully people can access. But I mean, as far as like publishing, dude, I can't even imagine the nightmare of publishing specifically comics.
Yes.
You're publishing books in general, which is a bit of a niche market these days, it feels like. And then on top of that, you're publishing comic books, which is even more niche. And then getting to the remaining stores, which I'm sure is on the decline across North America and probably the world to some degree, where, you know, like shops are closing down because they just can't sustain it, right? So yeah, it can't be easy, man. It just can't be easy.
Okay.
Cool. Let's call it there. Let's call it a day. Nice to see everybody. Sean, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Who else did we see today? Of course, Dan Elson, 62 Lefty Blues. Nice to see Howler Mouse stop by as well too. Dirt Nap Collectibles. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Next week, make sure that you're subscribed to Rasa's channel. I think we should be around next week for a chat next Sunday again, if everything works out okay.
And then I'll show you just the last thing. This drawing I did from, I forgot this to post one, but anyway, this drawing I did. The most successful drawing video.
You didn't post that? I thought you posted.
No, I posted this one.
Oh,
but what I'm trying to say, this is the most successful drawing video I posted on YouTube, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got 1,000 views.
Oh, shit, yeah. Amazing.
And then a little snippet for you guys, just because it's a Comic Cracks channel.
Sneak peek. Boobies.
Tuesday drawing video will show you how I draw this.
Oh, beauty. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Anyway.
Nice one.
Something to look forward to.
Thank you, Sean. We'll leave on that note. Best way to spend a Sunday that doesn't involve food. Your comic book, we're your intellectual comic book food is what we are.
Trying
right
to
on. All right. Later, everybody.
Videos.